Hi, everybody. How are you today? Whatever that may entail. How is everyone today? Who's here anyway? Usually, I think when I'm saying how is everyone today at the beginning, it's probably just to the people that are watching this as a video on demand. Please leave a comment if you're watching this as a video on demand. It helps the channel and like it. Please hit the stupid like button. Please make sure your notification bell's on so that you can watch me and whatever when you feel like it. I have a Christmas tree in the background, if you can see. There's a Christmas tree. It looks cooler with the lights off. Let me see. Yeah, see. There's the Christmas tree. Neat, right? I gotta get like a better camera that can see in the dark or something. I kind of like the grainy look more than anything else. Get some cool analog horror vibes from that green and the frame rate distortion. It's fun. I like it. I like Potato Cam. Mm-hmm. It looked like it was gonna try to take down my stream because I played that music video. I don't know if it actually did or not, but I really like that song. It's a good song and a cool music video, as grim as it may be, or whatever. Hello, Platonic. Hey, Ord. What's up, Ord? Platonic. Have you been here before, Platonic? I feel like you have. I feel like you've been here before. I just can't remember very well. Maybe it's been a little while. What is that supposed to be? Like a meh face? Like a unhappy face? Why did the stream actually go down for a few seconds? Hmm. That's lame. If that's what happened. Super gay. Let me see here. Like me. I'll wear some. I want that. 1 second. Tell little ones skedaddle. Can you close it? Thank you. There we go. A smile and a wave. Is that what that is? Oh. Oh, well, good. That's not bad. That's not a bad thing. So, I'm not like I don't really have anything in particular in mind because my whole schedule kind of got thrown off because normally I like to stream on like if I stream on Friday, I want to stream on Sunday, but just stuff come up, so I rather stream today, right the next day, than not stream at all or miss one of my usually three a week streams. That I like to at least be able to do them, even if they don't end up being of any value to anyone, including me. But I'm okay with that, right? I am okay with that. So, like I said, I don't really have anything in particular to talk about, but I am down for some AMA. I am down for anybody that wants to jump on and hear some of their stories and talk about it. I know the last stream kind of devolved into complete silliness. It was funny too because a regular that jumps on the stream, Horthus, jumped on, and then the conversation went from whatever the topic was to like completely about, I think, like guns and robot phalluses and stuff, and then like it just went, and then I just started seeing the views drop, and I was like, "Uh oh, well, I guess that's what happens when you talk about stupid shit." I think stupid shit's important, guys. I know a lot of people that might listen go, "Oh, this is dumb shit." Like, why would I want to listen? It's not. It's the absurdity and silliness and laughing at just dumb shit. I think is an important thing. It's an important thing that we all need to consider, because for a lot of schizoids, especially, humor is all they have left, and for some of them, it's something else maybe. But for many of us, it's our sense of humor, our sardonic kind of humor, uh, gallows humor, in many cases, or just our very absurdist sort of style of laughing at things. I think is a valuable way of putting it. But today I don't want it to totally devolve into that kind of menace, even if eventually it does, which is fine. I just kind of want to have a conversation about what different people are dealing with at the moment, what, minor as they may be, what struggles or what successes you're feeling right now, or you're going through, shit you want to vent about, stuff you want to get other people's takes on. Because most of the people that listen to my channel are pretty much a bunch of fucking weirdos like me. They're either, schizo spectrum peeps or some other kind of silly fun. Um, I doubt there's very many regular people that would sit here and listen to me ramble about all kinds of shit that probably doesn't interest them, at least in most cases. Hi, Mile. Hi, Beefcake. How you doing? Um, so yeah, so there's that. I'm gonna I need to grab a jacket. I'm cold. It's a lot colder than I thought it would be. Because it was cold, but then we had the heater on, but now it just got really cold again. I'm gonna go grab my jacket because I am cold. And the last thing you guys need to see is never mind. I can't make silly jokes, otherwise everyone leaves the stream. I'm kidding. Uh, Great. My internet crashed right after saying hi. That's how it be sometimes, right? All right. So I'm gonna get my hoodie. If anybody wants to jump on and talk, cool. I'll throw an AMA box in there for whatever questions you guys may have about whatever. I don't care. But I'd like to have anybody jump on and talk about what's up, what's going on with them. Where are you from, Angst? If you don't mind answering, I totally mind answering that. Fuck you. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm American. I'm from, sadly, I'm from California, born and raised. As terrible as that sounds. Um, but here, let me open up the question box area, so that way, because Rondé put it in the live chat, which is fine because I don't have the question box up yet. But I'm gonna put the question box up. Um, oh, there we go. There, now question box is there. So you go ahead and guys click on the question box and up the top, and then just drop questions in there. So you just got to drop little questions. I don't care what they're about today. Today, I don't really have any like set topic. It could be about serious stuff. It could be about silly stuff. It could be about like legitimate questions about schizoid stuff or other things, or my own theories and ideas you have questions about, or criticism type, or I don't know, whatever you want to do. That's something I can react to, or interact with. You can put it in the question thing in the top. So put it there. That would work. I'm gonna go get a hoodie because it's cold. I'll be right back. Hopefully. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna unmute myself. So if anybody wants to jump on and just sort of hang out with me and talk about whatever, I don't care, or see what comes up and join in as you wish, you're more than welcome to. Because yeah, it's available now. So anybody wants to jump in the Annex Anx live stream channel on the Discord, the Zoidwood Discord, it's available. If you don't know what that is, the descriptions in the bottom should have the link to my server, and you'll see me in one of those channels. And that's the one I'm in, talking. All right, I'll be right back. Hi, Amelia. Hi, Horthus. See you guys are here.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going. Let me make sure. Yeah, I was muted. Thanks. I know. I just noticed. Um, where is this section I was going to look at here? There we go. Okay. Looks like I'm good now. Really? Really? What is your favorite sandwich of all things? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about my favorite sandwich. We're gonna put that at
Yeah,
the top. Jesus,
I'm curious.
Horthus, you're a little loud, just a little bit loud. I don't know why. Sometimes you're really loud. Like for the stream, I'm guessing it's loud because it looks like it goes like really high when you talk. Don't lower it too much. Last time you lowered it a little too much, but just
I went from 80 to 70.
that's helpful. That's a lot better. Okay, cool. I get like startled when you talk and your audience too high. It's like hi. Wait, what the fuck?
Maybe just that dominant whenever I speak.
Oh yeah, that must be it. It must be that dominance, strong dominance. Um, are you there, Melee? Hello.
Hi.
There we go. See, that's a true dominant voice. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
A real
No, I'm
dominant voice.
intimidated.
A real dominant voice doesn't need to boom like in any capacity. In any way, they can just be mild and timid and
Well,
strike fear into
I
your heart.
never intentionally am trying to be too high on volume.
Well, you are, unfortunately, sometimes. I'm not sure what it is, honestly. I don't know what it is about your speaker. It might have to do with the distance from your microphone or something. Is it like what kind of microphone do you use? Is it a headset or is it just something?
Uh, I don't know what brand it is off the top of my head, but I'm 6 inches from it.
Interesting. Because if I control your volume on here, watch, say something.
I am Horthus.
Okay, see, that's a little bit better. But I don't know if that actually affects the stream. Say, I am Horthus.
I am Horthus.
Yeah, okay. It looks like it's better. I like this better. Okay, so my favorite sandwich. Look, the question's at the top, guys. What's my favorite sandwich? Now we get to talk about sandwiches. That's the topic now. Um,
Oh yeah, I have a lot of opinions about
for
sandwiches.
you? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
like
start us off with this on sandwiches.
so. First of all, like we should categorize sausages or any sort of like mixed meats
Mm-hmm.
into one area. So like a
Okay.
mortadella sandwich is very like you are already making a sausage. You're already making
Mm-hmm.
a blended meat.
Got
It
it.
categorically is a little different from just like a if you roast a chicken and you like carve a bit of breast off, like that's a chicken sandwich.
Yes.
um but it's not a blend. You're not thinking too hard about the meat going into it. We're not
Mm-hmm.
thinking about the spices. We're not thinking about like any of the cooking going into it.
Well, it
A
depends on
sandwich could be,
sort of. I mean, it depends on if you're putting like the skin, which is usually well
yeah,
seasoned in the sandwich. Then it gets a little more
yeah.
nuanced. Oh, by the way, before we continue talking about sandwiches, I want to say to everyone, if at any point you're like sandwiches is a done topic, I'm bored, go ahead and put a question in the questions box, and when I get tired of talking about sandwiches, I'll move on to the next question about whatever it is you want us to talk about, or whoever's on. I don't care. Okay. Anyway, continue about sandwiches.
Well, well, all right. So if we're talking about sandwiches,
Mm-hmm.
we're also talking about like not MREs, but like
Mm-hmm.
like something someone can carry to have lunch without prep, without too much like it doesn't have to go into like a freezer or something.
Because some
We're
sandwiches for
talking,
sure do, yeah.
yeah, yeah, and some are only good fresh. Sure,
Yeah,
that like
because of the
I'm
cured
sure
meats
that's
and
the thing.
stuff. As we discussed
Yeah,
before, cured
but like,
meats.
but like usually you would think that for a sandwich you need to like deliver
Mm-hmm.
something that that
What?
it's like the meal of the day for a working man, working individual.
The working man's meal of the day?
Yeah, I think so. I think usually you would think that way. Same way about like a taco.
Mm-hmm. Is a
uh,
taco a sandwich?
is a taco a sandwich? I think so. Under some groupings.
Well, who would categorize a taco as a sandwich?
If we're talking about like something that is meat and condiment in between bread, I think so. I think then
Well,
it's a sandwich.
the only reason I would disagree that a taco is a sandwich is because, like, say in Mexico, right? You have tacos, but then you have a different term for what would be a sandwich,
Sure.
which would not just the direct translation of sandwich, if you want, or sandwich or whatever, but the torta, right? So the torta,
What is the core idea? And to me, the core idea is like I can hold it in my hand and eat it, and it's like a
yeah,
clean
but
eating
is
thing.
a taco shell or tortilla really bread in the same way? That
It depends on the specific taco.
I mean, your average street taco is going to use
Your
a
average street
corn
taco
tortilla.
is almost a single mouthful. I think
Yeah,
that's categorically different.
I mean, it
I
depends
think
how
it
big your
is.
mouth is. For me, it is. I'm guessing for you, it's different.
Sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that the street taco, where it's like less than 3 inches across,
Yeah,
yeah, that's just like a bite. That's just a mouthful,
it's a
and
mouthful.
it's
Yeah.
fantastic. It is a flavor delivery mechanism.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You throw about 5 of those mouthfuls on a plate, and you got a meal.
Oh yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, yeah, lunch or dinner.
Especially if you're in a
I
hurry.
only need like two.
Really, light eater.
Yeah, I mean it's context specific. Like if I'm going
I
right
love
back to
this.
work.
Everyone's leaving. Like this is what I mean. No, like I'm not even upset about it. Every like people are leaving, and I told you if you don't like the subject of the sandwiches, all you have to do is ask a question in the question box at the top. You can ask a different question that isn't about sandwiches, and we'll talk about something else. It's very simple, and it'll be changed. I don't care what the subject is or what question you have about me or what I
Well,
do or anything.
what do the people that like come into viewer's stream want
I don't
from the
know.
stream?
I don't know. I have no idea. Um, I mean, they probably want me to talk about schizoid shit, but the chat is so inconsistent about what it likes. I mean, like the viewers. So I have streams where like we're talking about nothing, and it'll shoot up to like 15 or 16, and then streams where I'm like literally reading a research paper. I'm discussing its contents, and the stream will be like dead. So I don't know. I mean, right now for whatever reason it dropped down to 1. I don't know if everyone left or the stream died. I don't think the stream died. Maybe it's because I'm eating um zero sugar beef jerky sticks on camera. I don't know. I don't know.
Or is still taking notes about tacos.
Yeah, yeah, that's a possibility. But anyway, let's move on. Sandwiches. So oh, I dropped my meats. Um, so my favorite sandwich. If I were to choose a sandwich as a favorite, I don't really eat too many sandwiches anymore because I don't eat too much bread at all.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, because I do the whole keto thing. But mm, I would say if I feel light, like want to have a lighter sandwich, I like sandwich on well, I mean wheat's fine, but like more specifically, if you ever had squaw bread,
Oh, I haven't.
Oh, it's good. Like, but wheat's good. Like, just a real weedy but soft bread of various kinds. With like the seeds and stuff. With
When someone offers you like a lettuce or spinach or something wrap where there's not bread
yeah, no, plenty of
necessarily,
places
is
offer that,
that
but I
as
don't.
good to you?
No, not at all. Fuck no, that's stupid. How can you even compare those two? Like like a well baked bun wrapped in your on your hamburger is nothing like just a piece of fucking romaine lettuce. No, that's stupid as hell.
Yeah.
That's
All right.
dumb.
All right.
No, because like I'd rather not have the romaine lettuce at times. Like I'd rather just eat the meat because then I can concentrate on the flavors of the meat and whatever other toppings, and not just some crunchy ass iceberg. Especially if they use iceberg lettuce. I fucking hate iceberg lettuce.
Oh, iceberg is the loserest
Disgusting.
of
Iceberg
like
lettuce is disgusting. Yeah,
yeah, it doesn't have any flavor.
it's
It
just
and
crunchy.
and it's so awful if they like
Yeah.
heat it. Then it
Oh,
just becomes like a
it's so bad.
bitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it gets too hot, if you don't immediately eat that hamburger, like say you have to like take it with you and wait till you get home to eat it. By the time you're home, like yeah, that hamburger is just that lettuce. I just might as well remove it because it's gonna taste like cabbage.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fucking gross. But in any case, so yeah, some kind of like really weedy bread, with some sort of probably if I were to pick a meat that I like the most, it would be like a roast beef, like a nice fresh roast beef, deli style, with some provolone and or Munster, maybe both, yeah, provolone and Munster, and whatever other various things you would add to it. But that would be like the source ingredients for like most of the like
So
fillingness flavor.
you seem like somebody that would enjoy a meatball sub.
You actually, what's really funny, like even if I add lettuce or whatever else to it, I see all that. I see the veggies on a sandwich as filler. Like I don't.
I enjoy like peppers and some things.
Jalapenos could be good. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
it depends on the sandwich, but most veggies to me are like, well, it's lettuce or carrot or whatever the fuck you want to put on there. It's just a bunch of fucking additional bullshit, like to make the sandwich look bigger. The real key is the meat and the cheese. That's where like most of the flavor lies, in my opinion. But yeah. Definitely roast beef. Definitely Munster and provolone's really good. Swiss on the right type of sandwich for sure. Uh, as far as hot sandwiches go, if I want something heavy, yeah, you hit it up right on the money. Meatball sub, 100% meatball sub. If I'm like just hungry
Some good
and I
shit.
want something hot and I want something that'll just fucking knock me out, yeah, you get a meatball sub on some either garlic seasoned like bread of some kind or something that's like it has that burnt cheese on it, and then yeah, and just fill that sucker with the appropriate amount of meatballs, some mozzarella, sliced mozzarella, maybe some I even add what do you call it, what's that fucking powdered cheese you normally put on spaghetti and shit.
Oh, the Kraft Parmesan.
Yeah, the Parmesan. So yeah, it doesn't have to be Kraft. I mean, a good Parmesan, even if you have it.
Good Parmesan's way better, but
No,
more
fuck yeah,
expensive.
fresh Parmesan. If you can get it. So fresh Parmesan, mozzarella, nice slathering, just a messy slathering of marinara, but not just regular marinara, like the what's that one called? I can't think of the name. It's a certain type of spaghetti sauce. It tastes really good on it. Um, I can't remember what it's called. It's like garlic
Are you talking
herb.
about
It's like herb.
spice
It's like
or
an herb base.
grains?
Yeah.
Or...
No, it's just a herb, like an herb, like herb spiced, sort of marinara. It's got that thyme, that thyme
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
flavor. So the marinara with that like strong kind of thyme flavor. and then some really well made meatballs with mostly beef, not like beef meatballs with only a minor amount of filler as far as like flour or whatever else they add to it to make it like softer and rounder, but mostly beef, but not dry. And yeah, that's a very good meatball sub.
I mean, sounds delicious.
Yeah,
Sounds
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah. Like it's, I would say that's like really good. You would have to go to like an Italian deli to get a proper meatball sub.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Wait, in the city now,
I'm not talking about
I
Subway
can go to
shit.
a place like that. Oh
Subway
yeah,
fucking bullshit.
absolutely.
Subway's like the McDonald's of sandwiches. It's just like
Yeah, sure.
it's just something to eat, but it's whatever.
I
Like,
don't I don't insult that though.
no,
Like I
no,
don't insult McDonald's or Subway. Like
no, man. Some days,
someone has to eat for like $2 or $3 or whatever. I do not like. I understand and respect people that are there. I've been there. I've been like, oh my god, I have $1. Well, I can get a sandwich for $1 at McDonald's, and like that's better than a lot of other options.
Mila, if you had a topic, just put it in the questions. You don't have to talk about it just because you have a topic. No one's fucking making you talk about it. I mean, I got Horthus on here. Anybody wants to jump in and talk, I can. But Horthus is just as like annoying as me about talking. So
Shut up if needed. No
no,
problem.
I know, but I'm saying like you can fucking talk about almost any fucking subject under the sun. Same, even subjects I don't know shit about. I'd just be like, well, I don't know shit about it, and this is what I do know, and then I would talk about it, and then I'd hope somebody jumps on that knows a lot more
Oh
about it and
yeah,
schools me, because then I'd be like, cool, school me because I want to learn
we could have the most uneducated conversation about the World Cup.
about the what.
The World Cup
Oh
in
yeah,
Qatar.
I don't know
Yeah,
anything. I mean, I
yeah.
know more about
We could have the stupidest.
I know more about Qatar than I do about the World Cup.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what's funny.
We could have the dumbest
You don't
conversation
think
with
just
anyone
put it in the
about.
form, Mealy, just put it in the form of a question like Jeopardy. Like there has to be a way you could bring up any topic in the form of a question. Because all you would have to say is what is, how does, you know, so on and so forth. Everything can be turned into the form of a question. Come on now. I believe in you. I believe you can do it. Okay, here we go. We got a new question. No more sandwich talk. You ready to move on?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So Rondé, I don't even know if I'm saying that Rondé. If I'm saying that wrong, well, too bad. But if I'm saying it, no, seriously, just tell me if I'm saying it wrong, and then put the pronunciation because I like to be able to say names right, just because I like knowing how to say the names. Not so much because I don't want to hurt your feelings. I'm not really too worried about hurting someone's feelings because I said their name wrong. That's stupid. If your feelings get hurt because your name's being said wrong, you're a fucking baby. Um, okay. So, okay, serious question. What do you do when you're trying to make more genuine connections with people and come out to them that you're a bit different, but either they don't believe you or it doesn't register? Mm, what do you mean by, because those are two very different things, right? They don't believe you and it doesn't register would be handled very, very differently. Is what I'm saying. Here, let me put your question at the top. I still have the sandwich question at the top. Select question. There we go. I selected your question. So now it's at the top. People can see it. So not being believed would depend on the context of why they're not believing you, right? If they're not believing you because they don't want to believe that you're hurting that much or that you're having these problems or something, that's different than not believing you because they think you're a liar or because they think you're making it up for attention or something, right? If it's because they don't believe you because they think you're making up for attention, it honestly isn't really that worth trying to connect to them. Um, because it's going to be a very difficult path to convince them of otherwise, and even once they get convinced of otherwise, they might not even have the tools to want to or be interested in communicating with you. Um, But if they don't believe you because they think that's too sad and they don't want to apply that kind of like, oh, you're so different, you feel disconnected from others, to you because they have some other vision of you that they care for, I would say that's a much more reasonable reason for not believing you. That can kind of have garner some sympathy, in my opinion. But it's still going to be kind of a struggle in that you have to explain to them that talking about it actually makes you feel better, and being open about it and try and pretend like it's not there makes you feel worse. So if their goal is to not want to believe something that they think them believing you would hurt you more, that should be able to get through, hopefully. And then they might be able to go over their discomfort hump in order to meet you somewhere where um, they can just talk to you as you are to some degree. Um, if it doesn't register, that's a whole different thing, right? That's either two reasons. That it's either kind of like the don't believe, where it's just cognitive dissonance, right? Like they don't, like a mother or father that doesn't want to hear that their son or daughter is feeling like separated and disconnected from humankind. That's an idea that might be just far beyond a lot of people's experiences and kind of cognitive framework. So they might hear something like that and go, "Oh, it must be a stage," or "There's no way." Who doesn't connect to people in some way, right? Like it's so impossible, Or they might think, "Oh no, my kid is a sociopath" or some shit. And so there might be some cognitus there, and that's why it doesn't register. And making sure they understand it, but at the same time, making clear that no mom, no dad, no sister, no brother, no friend. I'm not an unfeeling robot that doesn't care about if you die or not. It's more that I care about different things and I experience stuff very differently, and I feel very isolated because of that. So, I mean, if that might register a little better, right? The way you approach it. If it doesn't register because of a lack of sort of metacognitive thinking, that's probably going to be a big struggle too. Like if they just like can't think about a cognitive framework that would differ from theirs in such a major way, if they're just unable to do that, then yeah, it's going to be a really difficult follow up to try to get them past that. Or you would have to like they would have to be willing to be educated on the topic, and you'd have to be willing to be patient enough to educate and discuss. Then they could learn. But if neither party or one of the parties isn't willing and also is having trouble understanding, and that's why it doesn't register, good luck. It's probably not going to work out, right? Like for example, let me give you like a small example. I tried to explain it to my mom, right? And my mom is not a bad person, but she's not like she's not good with like super complicated abstract concepts, right? And so when I tried to explain it to her, I had to kind of explain it to her in a way that made sense. So I had to go, oh, that's why I like to use like something like autism as an example, because even in people that don't understand the like they don't have the ability to really picture a different kind of cognitive way of thinking. They can go, oh, so you're just different because your brain's different, and it's not because you actually like don't care about anything, right? It's like, oh, your brain's just different and the stuff you care about is different, but you still care, right? And it's like, yes. And if you explain it kind of like real simple like that, um they might be able to just kind of go, oh, this is their way of telling me they care. And so that'll help them cope with the manner in which you want to interact with them, for like continue to interact with them now that this knowledge has been imparted, and you're hoping they'll kind of adjust to it a little bit, if that makes sense. Like it used to, like, here, let me give you an example. Like my mom, now that she knows about my deal to some degree, in a way that she kind of gets it, she doesn't really get as butthurt about that I don't call, or that I don't, like, she's not seeing it as I'm a bad mother or I'm someone that he just despises or something. Like, she's kind of seeing it more of like, oh, he's just different and so on and blah blah blah, and it's not this and it's not that, and and so like if you talk to them in their own language, um, you might be able to get through. But yeah, but trying to explain it in your language and getting them to understand it and register it would require that person to be very open, capable of metacognition, and a certain degree of abstract thinking. Like, I mean, you'd be asking for a set of skills and cognitive capacity from that
I'm amazed
person.
you tried to answer that. That's like a 4-tier question.
Why is that amazing?
Well, like if I were to answer a question, I would never go more than like 2 levels, and that's like you went all the way in and out on a pretty complicated concept.
Is it a lack of energy that you wouldn't do it, or is it like
It's because someone, if you were doing like a direct argument with somebody, like they would interject after the first or second level of abstraction
yeah?
to like fully
Oh, I could take it
articulate that
way
idea.
further than that, but I'm not. I think that's fine.
Yeah, it seems to me pretty complicated. Like
It
you're
does.
choosing some hard mode discussion there.
Am I? I don't know. Like that's just me doing my thing. I don't know. I don't. I don't know. Like I'm just
Uh,
saying it. I just.
I like usually if somebody brings something that complicated up to me, I'm like learn, son, is sort of my reaction.
Oh, like you don't want to have to actually take the time to explain
Yeah,
all that
yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah. Because like you have to go all the way back and then
Yeah.
like build all the way up the entire system to like articulate
I don't.
everything
I
you need.
don't mind it only because if it's helping another schizoid, and I've seen Ron Day pop up in the past. They've been watching my stuff for a while. If it's helping another one understand or reconceptualize some of their situation in order to improve their station in life in some way, it's worth it to me. Like for me, under my own ideas and principles and um, ethical preoccupations, it's worth doing that. So,
Say it's noble. Like I admire that you put that effort.
noble is gross, but
It's a
I get
little
it.
bit, yeah, it's a little gross.
I'm
It's a little
sorry.
like, ugh.
Sorry, I give a shit about this, unfortunately, like deeply. Okay, so let me see. I know as disgusting as I thought may be. Um, let's see here. Okay, so Melee did turn in a question here. Hold on. Let me make sure. Oh, you have to turn something personal at the moment into something non-personal. Yeah, that's perfect. We're good at that. Okay, so let's see your question there, Mila. And remember, if you have a question or you think the topic's boring, even if it's a silly topic, I'll change it if you ask something. And then if at some point I go, "Oh, I'm bored of this topic," I'll look at your questions and then move to a different one. If I really enjoy the topic too much, I can't promise how quickly that will happen. Um, so uh, Beefcake says, "How would a schizoid not feeling good enough be different from the average person not feeling good enough?" Oh man. Okay. This is a fun one. Oh man, this is gonna take me a second. How would a schizoid not feeling good enough be different from the average person not feeling good enough? Okay, this is how I would say it would be different. Okay, and this is just my opinion and my experience, and this is also based on the experiences of others I've communicated all kinds of shit with, and other schizoids, the hundreds at this point of schizoids I've talked to different amounts, or that have communicated with me. So the difference would not emotionally probably wouldn't be that different, but contextually would be very different. So in the case of a regular person, right, not being good enough might be I'm not participating, I'm not doing the things the social things correctly and so thus I'm not getting the social rewards that come with doing the social things correctly that would fulfill me and make me feel better about myself and my position and all this, and make me feel safe and loved and cared for on this like sort of within this sort of very social interpersonal framework, right? So I'm not good enough to take part in it. So thus, I am not good enough for anything because that framework is everything to me, right? Because generally, human beings are very social animals, and their entire mood and behavior and everything is based on how their interpersonal connections are doing, right, or lack thereof. So in the case of a schizoid that feels like they're not good enough, right? I think most of the time it's a sense of I'm not good enough to even be deemed human, right? Or I'm not good enough to be a part of society at large. I'm not good enough. I would say it's not a concern about I'm not good enough for this or that particular person that they care about. It becomes I'm not good enough to even like partake in what is understood to be human civilization, or and depending on how what the level of abstraction they take it. So it might just be I'm not good enough to be a part of this country or beyond. It's going to be something bigger, or what my understanding of human society or human beings and the way they interact, even if it's being obviously incredibly biased by their own culture and their own experiences to some degree. They're also going to oftentimes include their knowledge of the rest of the world and how the rest of the world reacts to all these things. And if they feel alienated or disconnected from the primary motivations of all those people, they're going to think, oh, I'm not good enough to participate in that. I'm not good enough at being human to participate in things. Now, whether they eventually come to the conclusion that they don't care or that they do, and in the case, within the framework of your question, I'm assuming that they do care. I would say that that's how the schizoid feels like they're not good enough. They're just not even good enough to participate in the process itself, not in the interpersonal connection of specific people in their life they wish to be closer to. Um, just the reasons are so different. But the feelings are probably often just as potent or similar, I would say. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. If somebody disagrees, do you disagree, Horthus? Do you have a different take?
Uh,
If you do, cool, man.
no, I'm pretty open minded about all of that stuff, so I don't object to anything that's been said.
I mean, if you do, you're more than welcome to object. I don't care.
Oh, I'd love to argue, but no, I don't see anything
Too
weird in
too
what you
weird or
said.
bad or
Yeah,
flawed. All right.
yeah.
So
I'd love to argue. I'd love to just
I
be
know you
like,
love to
yeah,
argue. I know you love to
yeah,
argue. But yeah,
but
that's just kind of
I don't see anything there.
yeah. That I mean, that's I think that's the difference. I think the difference is the scale, and the level of abstraction, and less about like for example, I've talked to autistic people that, or the message by autistic people, they aren't schizo at all, but they're kind of very in that concrete world, to whatever degree, especially like high functioning would be high functioning autistic people, and they have the same feelings of I'm not good enough too, but their version of I'm not good enough is sometimes very much concentrated on a very specific topic of interest or value. Um, so they might believe that a certain subject matter is of such great importance, right, to humankind or to human progress, right? And they think this is like one of the elements of what would be a grand unified theory on on like what is efficient and what is good for humankind, and they want to work really hard on it, and they want to be the best that they can be at that thing, right? For whatever reasons that they have, and then when they're not the best at that thing and there's people that are better than them at that thing, they might feel as if their efforts are fruitless or without merit, right? Or that their efforts are merely um, uh, like even
How do they feel? How do they feel about everyone else? Like, if they think they're experts in a subject matter, like,
well, that's what I'm
how do
saying.
they
Within
feel
that,
about
within
every
that, the
other?
subject matter, they might feel like they're not good enough if they're having feelings of I'm not good enough, right? Within that, within those things, those realms, or specific realms or domains, they might feel I'm not good enough to participate in that domain, even if they, because we're talking about. I mean, in this case, we're talking about like insecurity, right? And very low self esteem, right? When you start, you have an individual that says they're not
I think it
worth,
has to be very low.
huh?
I don't think it has to be like very low self
Maybe,
esteem.
maybe it doesn't have to be very low.
It is the very act of measuring. I think that might be the problem.
Well, measuring is fine, but there's a difference between measuring your aptitude in something and then placing a value on a lack of aptitude, right? Instead of under like there's two people. You got, well, more than that, but you got people that see a they measure and they see a gap and they just wish to close that gap, all right? And then you have people that see a gap and they are overwhelmed by the gap and
Are
ruminate
you
on it.
worthless if you are not on top or something?
It doesn't have to be the very tippy top necessarily, right? But you might be at a certain stage in your life, in which you only have this much skill and information, and then because you're of a certain age and there's a guy or gal that is younger than you that is a higher stage of capability within that subject.
Yeah, that just sounds so space alien to me. Like
So what?
you're existing in, to me, the very
Yeah.
second you're like oh, I have to be the dominant individual in some space is like, oh, you fucked up. To
Well,
me, it
I
feels
mean,
like
it's not good for you, but it's not so much of a hierarchy situation. If we're talking about somebody that's like schizo or autistic, I don't think it has to do with hierarchy. So, like, status and value in status, I think it has more to do with, am I worth even participating or contributing if my contributions might the effort of my contributions might there's a belief that the effort of your contributions will be a net negative, right? So it's this idea
oh
of okay, the process of me even learning and getting better because of my lack of aptitude is actually dragging the thing I value so much to begin with. And so thus I should not participate in it because I am merely holding it back by wanting to be a part of it, right? So
yeah,
so
that's really yeah. I would hopefully want to help people.
No,
That
but that's the thing. Somebody with a higher aptitude, that's the noble cause, in my opinion. Somebody with a higher aptitude, be it genetic predisposition and higher IQ, or just a knack for it, or whatever, in whatever way, or they're privileged to have the resources. Yeah, they should be lifting up those people as quickly as possible, so they don't feel like they're just dragging everything down. Um, Being efficient about pulling people up can actually turn somebody that might utilitarian wise be a net negative, were they not to be helped, to become a net positive, as small as it may be, were they to be helped by the right person. So if you want to just talk numbers, right? So it's like a risk reward situation there, and I think in certain realms, whether it's a schizo or an autist, they might have a low self esteem, pertaining to the overall like numerical value of what they're contributing to the thing that they have decided to attach themselves to or have attached themselves to, right? So or concept or idea or set of data or whatever, depending on what's going on. So does that make sense? Does it make sense how it's like it's still
No,
self-worth, but it's not
that
status hierarchy based?
I find that all pretty interesting.
Yeah, but it still makes you just as fucking sad. It still makes you just as
so
fucking
I
sad
will
and
always
miserable.
be. Yeah, sure.
Like, but that's my point. It'll make some people, not everyone, but some people just as like demoralized and uncomfortable and unmotivated and so on and so forth, right? Um it like a lot of schizoid artists I've talked to, they think like, "Oh, I don't have anything unique to contribute. I don't have anything special to contribute. What would my contributions do to the subject itself or this thing that I value? If I'm just doing it to cope or make myself feel better, then it's almost not worth it because I place a higher value on the thing itself than I do on my own like need to cope or something." And so like it turns into like a whole different kind of fucking mess right there too. So yeah, I mean that's the way I would talk about this subject there, Melee. So I don't know. My brain's stupid. Like it just goes all over the place. I think I'm really inefficient in the manner in which I go from layer to layer, but that inefficiency translates into filling in pieces of information that somebody that might not have them will now have it. But for the people that know that information, I'm probably really redundant and repetitive. So I guess that sucks or whatever. So if anybody else have more questions, we will tackle different questions that you provide. Let me look at the live chat for a second. I did the thing. Hold on, what did I do? Hold on. Let me look at the live chat because oh man, I missed a ton of shit. Let's see here. How can I say? My goal is to eventually have so many people on here that like I can't look at the live chat, but we're not there yet. So I feel like I have to be responsible for looking at it. Uh, yeah. That's what I mean. Melee. My art being bad equals my life is worthless. Yeah. Yeah. I get that's. I hope I kind of hit some of that on the money. My argument would be that it's not worthless, and it's more about giving those individuals the help they need to bloom as much as possible, and then convince some of those individuals that they, in fact, have already established worth because they're producing a contribution to that concept that they themselves might not even be aware of, as I've attempted to do many times with Yumile, but it's a hard lesson to learn. I don't feel that way. I'd be the best dictator in the world, but I'm an anarchist, says Gnome. Chomsky. Uh, I do see that. Yeah, agreed. You did the thing, Angst. You just did the thing you described. I did? Did I do it? I don't know when I did it. Horthus, did I do the thing?
I saw it as it happened. I don't know what they're referring to.
I think they're referring to that I did the whole self-worth thing. You self-deprecated your intelligence. Oh. Oh, I see what you're saying. No, I mean, there's a difference between self-deprecating my intelligence and then being very honest about my lack of aptitude in specific places. Right? I like saying I am not very good at this. It doesn't always equal self-deprecation or low self-esteem, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like I am not very good at um anything that has to do with the World Cup or soccer.
Holy shit. Somebody just saying like, "Oh yeah, I don't actually understand like how hockey works or something." Is not an insult. about
Or it's not
themselves.
self-deprecation. It'll be
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
it's context. Like,
It might seem
oh,
like
I never played that game.
no, but it might be a self-deprecation if, like, say that person's actually displaying a significant amount of knowledge on something, and then they say that, right? So if somebody is like saying all these hockey stats and has all this hockey information and can talk very nuanced, have a very nuanced conversation with the best of them about hockey, but then they say, "Oh, but I'm just some idiot that doesn't barely knows anything about hockey," then that would be self-deprecation because obviously they displayed a certain amount of competency that contradicts, uh, the said statement.
I
So
I don't know. I feel like you get shit from other people for like, oh, you don't understand like I don't know, ubiquitous sports ball thing. It's like, no, I literally do not understand the game.
all right, so here let's see. Um, well, Mila says, I mean, I don't know, maybe other people saying that to me should mean something to me, but it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, the fact that it doesn't is what maybe should be worked on, right? Why doesn't it? Why doesn't it mean something to you? Maybe that's what needs to be tackled. Not that it doesn't actually mean anything, is why doesn't it mean something? When it should, at least in the opinion of the people saying it. Um, but, it's up to you if that's to be given any value. But if you're devaluing the opinions of others about you that are positive because of your own issues regarding self-worth, then that's what needs to be worked on. If you're devaluing their opinions of you because you think they're not worthy enough of having an opinion of you that's accurate, it's indifferent. No. Let me explain. Like, even indifference, right? If you're indifferent to their positive assertions about you, it comes down to why, right? If it's because you think you're just that much more capable of analyzing or describing every aspect of yourself that any other person's contribution to your value is worthless because they will never truly understand you, and so they should shut the fuck up. That would be like you'd be kind of like delving into kind of a narcissism there, right? But if it's because you're devaluing yourself so much that you start believing that those other people must be seeing something that's not there, and they're misunderstanding what you're contributing because obviously you're not worth shit, and so any value they see in it must be wrong, then that's a different issue, and that's a you problem, in my opinion. That's not a them problem, right? That's something you need to fucking figure out. Why is it that you're thinking that about yourself? And that's what needs to be worked on. And I think those are very different things that are going on there. Um, I don't know. It's complicated. No, you said the artists think they are not worthwhile doing art because they can't contribute. Then you went on to say that you aren't actually intelligent when you are a very good thinker. Okay. I guess it would depend on what you mean by good thinker, but I would say I'm a good thinker in certain domains. Yes, I guess. And my thinking isn't necessarily good in one context, but it's good in another. So I would say I would be comfortable enough to say that. So yeah. Mostly, I just don't want to feel like I'm disappearing even more than I already have. You're not. I mean, that's the rough part. Like, I'm close to being non-existent at this point. Yeah, that's the hard part, Mila. Is that it depends on who is erasing you, right? Are people around you erasing you? Are you erasing yourself? Because of certain things that are make you unwilling to place any kind of value on what others are telling you about you, and depending on the reason for that inability or that disdain for giving what others are saying about you value, that's when you start kind of figuring out who is erasing who. Is the world erasing you, or are you erasing yourself? And if you're erasing yourself, then there isn't anything anybody could do but the person. Well, then you can only work on the part that is you, and then it's not easy. It's a fucking mess. But it comes down to working on the part that is you, and then finding individuals that will prop up your self worth from an external source, which would be friends and people that really understand, appreciate, and give a fuck about you. So, um, no, I've been considering pursuing monkhood as a schizoid. It seems like it makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, it could. I don't know. Was that you, Horthus?
No, not me.
What was that? Oh, who was that? A laugh or just like somebody blowing their
Oh no,
nose?
that was me. I'm sorry. I was just breathing heavily.
Oh, okay, because I heard like, and I'm like, what the fuck was
That
that?
was my bad.
I thought that was like a, like I disagree kind of sound. Okay, now it's fine.
On this subject, I was thinking about there are Trappist monks near me, and I sort of think that's really cool. I have considered doing field trips to visit these like they have vows of silence or whatever, like these monks in the middle of
Yeah, I can never take that
Missouri.
vow.
I think it's really cool. I'd love to visit them. I don't know if I could ever like live that long, but it seems cool.
Hilarious. I can imagine you showing up to monks with a vow of silence and trying to trick them into talking. Like,
I
or
wouldn't try to trick them into talking. I think I would just
Kidding.
I would absorb like it's more admirable than the average Christian or Catholic. But like they are
we're making
actually making it
we're making comparisons here. I think
I am, yeah.
I would say making any kind of commitment to anything conceptual to a strong degree is probably more than the average person does in general.
Making a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like giving something else up like for religious reasons or spiritual reasons. I think that's cool.
Let's see here, Melee. But whenever I do try to avoid myself becoming erased. I feel like the world tries to erase me. Then I wonder if I should stay erased or if that's just how I'm supposed to be. You're not supposed to stay erased. You're not supposed to get erased. Shut up, Melee. Hey, Melee. I know you're on here, so shut the fuck up. You're not supposed to be erased, dumbass. Anyway, it's just so fucking frustrating because when somebody feels like the way they do about this sort of stuff, no amount of any individuals around them going, even ones that they can connect to, going, "Oh, I think I understand what you're going through. By the way, no, I believe that you have value." Like that shit just doesn't click sometimes, and that when the outside people are trying to make that effort, and the person on the inside can't connect to that effort, then that means the person on the inside it has to tap into something else that they can do, only that person can do in order to kind of find a connection to what these outside or external values that are being given to them sincerely by people around them. Like there's nothing those outside people can do to like force the click, right? If you try to force it, you might actually cause more damage than help. So all I can say is I don't think you are of low value, Beefcake. I think you are of good value by my parameters. And whether you believe those parameters are worth anything, that's up to you. Because only you can give value to my parameters that I'm using to give you value, right? Um, it doesn't just transfer automatically. So it's as simple as that. Like you have no idea how many people, Beefcake, Cortez, Shadow, whatever, everybody in chat, like you have no idea how many people I go, no, you're worth something, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I say that, because even if the worth that I'm uh, placing upon them is not necessarily interpersonal, because in some cases it is. I would say in the case of you, because Mila, you're my moderator, you're somebody that's helped me with the project in different ways. Yes, there's a certain interpersonal value there that I've placed, right? But I have like more abstract values that I place upon people like you, and based on a lot of your behaviors and the stuff you I guess talk about and say or whatever. And so whichever one you think is more important, that's the one that you should hook onto. That's how I see it. Like, I don't care which one, because regardless of how many of them you connect to, they are still value that is being given by an external source, a separate conscious mind, a separate sentient being that has decided to give you value. Since I don't believe in intrinsic value, being the optimistic nihilist that I am, then I can't give you intrinsic. If you're looking for intrinsic value, good luck. You're gonna have to fucking find some coat for that shit, because I can't provide it.
What exactly is intrinsic value?
Like some cosmic, like factual value, like that isn't like cosmically and like universally intrinsic value. Like, I am worth something because I am a human and I am a person, right? And
Oh,
somehow,
I'm stubborn as hell, and even I don't
or
believe in that.
God gives me value, right? Or the universe cares about me or cares about us, and I'm one of the us, so thus, so on and so forth, right? That's like some kind of weird universal, like factual, objective value that people place on themselves or other humans or whatever, or other experiences or other things in general. I don't place objective value on anything. I think it's all subjective value wise. I'm not saying everything's subjective, that's stupid, but I think value is subjective. So, and I'm okay with that. I don't see that as an inferior thing. I don't know why people think objective value is worth more than subjective. It's just whatever. I don't even understand. I can't even have that conversation. The whole thing's a fucking mess. But
Subjective can fail, and objective always stays the same.
no, because even
Something to
objective
rely
things
on.
can alter based on the parameters that are currently being uh like like currently in process, right? Like, if for some reason, like say an objective fact, right? You have something that's objectively factual, right? If some for some reason, regardless of it why, something changed within the makeup of the universe, that objective value or that objective thing now becomes like an untrue statement, right? And so then, if it becomes an untrue statement through whatever means, then it changed. Right? So there's a lot of stuff we feel are objective about human behavior that maybe in a million years, if humanity or some semblance of humanity is still around, might change. It might change significantly what objective truth about human behavior is, right? Especially if we evolve and so on and so forth in different directions. So, so that might change with time, with place, with all sorts of elements. Um, Whatever, I don't care. I'm just saying things. Um, oh, Horthus left. Bye, Horthus. Um, what was the purpose of you felt? What was the purpose you felt, or just I'm not sure. I was surviving mechanism. It's not true. Remember, I was put here for a purpose. Yeah, your purpose is to be cool. I know, Chelsea, not sure. It's just a feeling. No, your purpose is to, like, you want to know what I think your fucking purpose is, Beefcake? Your purpose is to connect to the people you can connect to and enjoy your existence to whatever capacity that you can, and contribute as much as you can to the reduction of unproductive suffering from individuals around you as they do the same for you. That's it. That's my thought on that. And I think you're doing a
It
pretty
might
decent
be
job of that, personally. Anyway, go
it
ahead.
might be that you want to have a purpose as well. And
I
I
mean,
think
yeah.
that feeling doesn't ever go away, no matter how often you try to say it's false.
Yeah, I agree. That feeling might be what makes life worth living. So, there's also that. Um, and leaning into it might be a good idea in most cases. So, I don't see why leaning. Whatever. My purpose is to outlive my enemies. Fuck them. Okay, whatever. That works, I guess. No. My purpose is vengeance. I am vengeance. I am revengeance. That works. Whatever works for you. Like, what is the point of dying? Says Priscilla. L.
Well,
Yeah,
we'll
I know.
figure it
Dying.
out.
That dying is such a big L. For everyone's biggest L is dying. Maybe it's a W. You don't know. Maybe dying is a W. Maybe it's neither.
I
Maybe it's neither.
wouldn't go that far.
Imagine dying, bro. No, I mean, you never know. I wouldn't go that far either. I wouldn't say it's a W or an L. I would say it's just a thing. And I would say that even if you continue living after dying in some other format, it's also just a thing. I wouldn't necessarily I would not give it objective value, is what I'm saying. I would give it some subjective value based on the context of what it is that occurs and how it occurs. And I could say, oh, it's the best thing ever, but that's not objective. That's just me and my stupid fucking brain or lack or spirit or whatever the fuck you want to apply it to, thinking that, believing that. But if I acknowledge that, then it's just my human survival mechanism that tears down everything I'd ever believed in and bothered to live for. I can try to fight it as much as I want, but it just makes me think, well, what's the point then? The point is fighting it. The point is fighting it. And there doesn't, like, that's the problem with a lot of people I talk to. They need this, like, fucking objective meaning, right? To, like, life. Like, and I don't know why. Like, I just hear it and I go, why the fuck do you need an objective meaning to your existence? Why is that a requirement to continuing forward or giving yourself any kind of fucking value? Like, I don't understand. I try to understand. I think I used to, because why would I try to exist when I don't feel like I exist? Well, maybe you exist within a different set of parameters than the ones you're placing the value of existence within, right? So if you're thinking existence equals N, right, then you're just going to be stuck on that shit. But if you go, oh, existence equals, X, Y, Z, A, B, D, C, whatever, all these other variables, then you have a higher chance of finding some slot you're comfortable with. But if you put all your eggs in one fucking basket about what it is to exist and what it is to have value of existing, and all your eggs are in the fucking objective value basket, then you're fucked. Good luck. If you're in a bad situation, say a terminal illness, it's better to die fast instead of suffering. But there are many different situations. Yeah, of course. Oh, but there's individuals that might argue that it's better to die suffering because suffering in and of itself has some kind of subjective value to them. I don't agree with that.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, like, I don't agree with that necessarily, but I get it. I get where somebody would be coming from. All right, I think there is a value in suffering to, yeah. Well, yes, Priscilla, for sure. Okay, so they're just kind of going off. You guys talk to each other. I love it when you guys fucking talk to each other. That's just the best. Like when my chat's just having a conversation. When you have like 10 fucking schizoids, or maybe 6 out of 10, talking on there, people that are like usually isolated and hermits, having like some in-depth conversation or actually interacting with each other in some subjectively meaningful way to each other. That shit's so fucking wholesome. I don't give a fuck. Like when I jump on my server and I see a bunch of people that, like, even when they're saying, "Oh, why do I even try humanity? I can connect to it." Blah 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 blah, and then other people are going like, "Yeah, I feel you. I can't connect either. It's all stupid and worthless." I'm like, "You guys just connected, you fucks." Like that shit cracks me up, and I just, like, I wouldn't say that, but I'm just like, you guys just did it. You just did the thing you say you can't do. You just did the thing. So right? Like there's a lot of people that feel the way Melee or a lot of people that have talked on my stream feel, for very, very similar reasons. And the process of connecting through or relating to each other via these difficult things, um, is a connection. Now, can we transfer those connections towards some positive shit, like some shit that doesn't make you're not just connecting via suffering, you're connecting via other forms of less stressful emotional realms? Yes, I think that's possible too. I think you could start via suffering and move forward into other places that are a little more fun than suffering. Unless you find suffering fun, then in that case, become a Cenobite, and that's
Also
okay.
guilty as charged.
Yeah. So it's just, if you're cooming to suffering, then that's a whole different mess, right? That's a whole different thing. You, like I said, go become a Cenobite. Cenobites have their place in the universe.
What in
Witches,
the world's
whatever.
a Cenobite?
Cenobites are those
Oh, Hellraiser.
Hellraiser creatures. I don't know, well, beings. I don't know if you're familiar with Hellraiser, but they're like these demons, angels. Some call us demons, some call us angels.
Pences.
Right, that's what they say. They're these cosmic beings that you solve a puzzle, and if they sense that you want suffering or you find any pain or value in suffering, they will get that, take you to their Leviathan, to their fucking hell, whatever you want to call it, and make you suffer so much, but also make you coom so much over that suffering that you eventually become like them, or you're just like in essentially a suffering slash coom heaven. So it's it's fucking ridiculous.
That is not the direction I was going in.
Yeah, but I know, but that's a Cenobite, right? And so it's interesting because
All right.
if they detect that the person that opened their puzzle box isn't looking for that, they aren't interested in that person. They don't just like go, oh, they're not. What's weird about Cenobites is they're not really, they're only as sadistic as they think their target will actually enjoy. It's weird. You could almost argue that Cenobites are, except for Hellraiser 3, because that movie's stupid. If we're talking Hellraiser 1 and 2 more specifically, you could argue that Cenobites are deeply into some like weird abstract form of consent. In the original idea behind it,
That
which
is uncomfortably similar to how I perceive things.
yeah, so the Cenobites will like a Pinhead, and look up Cenobites, right? Like I love Hellraiser, because they'll roll up on somebody and they're like, "Oh, you want truth, you want eternal bliss, you want this, and you've gone through a bunch of suffering to achieve it because you like have this taste for suffering. Well, we're going to give you so much suffering that initially it's going to be horrible and it's going to be hell, but then you'll like reach some suffering enlightenment in their fucking world that you'll actually become a Cenobite yourself, in which you start inflicting this enlightenment upon others. It's like wild. It's fucking wild. So yeah, that's Cenobites for you. Consensual, the ultimate kings of consent, of cosmic consent, Cenobites. Except for if you're talking anything beyond Hellraiser 2, then it just turns into a whole fucking mess. Like it's so weird. Like because the entire plot. I know we're getting off on the who's here, so I can, right, because nobody's dropping any new questions, so I'm just gonna keep talking about this. Um, what's interesting about like even the first Hellraiser is they're consent kings. Yeah. What's interesting about even the first Hellraiser is the plot of it is there's a guy that found the puzzle box, solved it, got pulled into Hellraiser world, got way more than they were bargaining for, right? Right. Um, but they were already somewhat sadistic and masochistic to begin with, but they got way more than they were bargaining for, and they went to the fucking Cenobite hell world, and then their former lover, who's married, finds out that they're still in some other plane because that person that got dragged in by solving the puzzle is like regretting their decision, at least at that moment, right? And so when they try to escape, the former lover has to like murder people and feed them the murdered people's blood to try to resurrect or reincarnate the guy that got pulled into the Cenobite dimension, right? And so he's trying to escape and be alive because he wants to be alive again, but he also wants to escape this fucking torment. But at the same time, this is what makes it so weird, is that at the same time, his sadistic and somewhat masochistic tendencies are still very much intact, even when he's coming back from suffering like endless torment in this dimension that they're trying to get out of. And so by the end of the movie, spoilers, whatever, even when their plan to escape is foiled, right? Even when their plan to escape from the Hellraiser Leviathan dimension is foiled, right? What happens is the Cenobites show up, and we're like, their whole deal is you try to get away from, your fate that you've decided that we're not going to let you get away from. And we're going to make sure you fucking follow through on this shit, right? So we're dragging you fucking back to Hellraiser world. And what makes it funny is even when that enemy or that villain's plan is foiled, what happens is Pinhead comes out and the Cenobites come out, and all these hooks and chains start coming out, right? Real BDSM-y shit, like piercing BDSM-y shit. And they start just hooking into this guy's body and like piercing through it and like latching onto their skin. And just this guy's like screaming like in agony, like, right? And he's like getting all these hooks in him, right? And he's like, some part of him is like, fuck, I almost made it back into the physical world or the material world, but now I'm going to get pulled back into a Hellraiser dimension. But as they have all the hooks in his fucking body, he's staring at, he knows he's about to be just fucking torn asunder and taken back. He's staring at the protagonist of the story, looks at her, and instead of being like, no, you've done this to me, or being angry that like he's getting pulled back into this world, right? He looks at her and he's smiling, right? His like skin's like being like hooked. It's on like multiple hooks on his body, and he's smiling at this girl, this protagonist, and he's smiling at her. And he says, "Jesus wept," and then he just gets fucking ripped into shreds. Right, cheesy effects and all from like the fucking 90s. He just gets exploded into pieces, and he's dead, but he's back with them. Right, they take him back. That's how they take him back. They tore him asunder, and he's smiling, and he says like a sadistic thing to her. He says something like disturbing and like almost like throwing it in her face. Hey, you think you won, but in all truth, I think I wanted to go back. But that's his last line. The enemy or the antagonist is Jesus wept, but he says it smiling and like laughing, like mockingly. He says Jesus wept. And when I heard that line and when I thought about it, especially later in life, I was like, it's nihilistic, because it's almost like saying, regardless of Jesus' position on suffering, this is my heaven, and I reject theirs. And he may think that that's wrong, but let him cry. And I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. That's an intense. Clive Barker is weird and intense. I think Clive Barker is definitely fucking up there in the schizo department. Fucking for sure, man. He's got some weird, like, fucking BDSM schizo thoughts. But yeah, respect. I like talking about movies like that. Huh?
The tangent that off into back to schizoid discussions.
Mhm.
How do you ever confirm or give validation to what a schizoid is? And how do you not just tell yourself, oh, it's just I need to do better, I'm not doing enough, and it's just my fault that I'm like this? That'd be my question.
Oh, I can answer that. I mean, you might not agree with it, but I can absolutely answer that. But first, I'm going to grab myself a bottle of Michelob Light. Or premium or whatever the fuck it is before I answer it, because I'm going to use that as an excuse to walk away from the stream for a minute while I contemplate it, and I leave you guys awkwardly sitting here, and I'm going to judge you if you leave while I awkwardly leave you guys sitting here. Okay, I'll be back.
Think better than an awkward silence.
So, hi, chat.
Greetings.
I have never been
I'm
on a
here
stream
too.
before, and they're here with me.
Really be doing like that first do be thing. What is my microphone picking up?
How do you entertain a chat full of people?
I don't freaking know, man.
What? Oh, how do you entertain? I don't know.
Trying to make sure they don't leave.
Just
Well, I
say
guess I have a question for you. How'd that question come about? What made you think of that?
Obligation from main guy leaving.
Oh, no, not that. Your question that you asked him before. Yeah. He left.
Well, the reasoning behind that is I'm particularly of the stubborn sort. And when it comes to problems, it's what else do you do a problem? That's how I kind of go at them.
that makes sense.
Because of that, I seem to find myself really capable. And so if I've tried hard enough, I've always told myself I could reach the moon if I had a reason enough to get there. It's never been about I'm not able to do this. It's if I was more motivated, I could do this. So when is it me just not trying hard enough? And when is it there's an actual problem I have that I'm not giving validation to?
I suppose it's at the point when you start getting diminishing returns that you realize the problem's just kind of out of your control, perhaps. That's how I see it anyway. I actually have to learn that.
I also have a really bad habit about forgetting the bad bits about my life because there's no point in remembering them. I guess my brain would put it. Well, except some, but it's not being constructive, so it's just why remember them until I do remember them and I'm just, wow, there was problems, and then I forget about them again until they come back, and then it's just a vicious cycle.
I feel that entirely. I would say that I, like, with ADHD and schizoid at the same time, that's a pretty big loop on my part as well.
Would you say that you kind of just live in the now more so, you'd say?
Oh, for sure.
Life is very much in the moment.
If I ever get overwhelmed, I suddenly just get rid of this, get rid of that. How do I take my next step?
Yeah, that's why I was kind of figuring that out. Because I'm kind of similar to what you said. Like, things are kind of only important when they matter in the moment. If it's something that I'm, not useful in the moment, my brain kind of forgets shit. So
Yeah, exactly the same here.
But it's not necessarily only in the moment. Like, I've never quit my job, but it's always been I should be working. So it's not like I'm saving up for things in the future, but it's I should be working now. So it also is in a way. It's like I'm not planning for the future. I'm planning for I should be doing this in the moment instead of not doing this and doing nothing.
That's certainly a way to put it. I've been kind of wondering about my ambitions for a while. Like, I don't know how to plan for the future, but it sure seems like I'm trying to take steps towards something. Because it's better than nothing, that's for sure.
I guess I can agree with that as well. Because I'm kind of the same. Like, I always feel like, of course, you should be making money, at least doing something.
Hello.
He's back.
No, I've been back for like 5 minutes. I just was listening.
I
How
could
dare
tell.
you?
The microphone was kind of picking up your breathing, your very presence.
Well, yeah, toward the but I turned off my mute at one point. So I mean, I had it muted for a while. So
Makes sense.
Not here because I can. The cool thing is I can if I muted like this, like via the Discord, you guys would know I muted, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I mute via my microphone and don't mute, otherwise, you guys think I'm still like not. You haven't heard my like chair and everything else in my breathing. So,
oh, were you just getting off to listening to us?
Yeah, I was just totally getting off. It was hot. No, I'm kidding. No, I was just listening. I wanted to listen to what you guys were saying to see if it would help me kind of think about the question that Shadowfall posed to begin with. It didn't. No, I'm kidding. No, it did. So
It's like I mask so well, I convince myself kind of problem.
No, I get what you're saying.
Oh, yeah, that kind of goes to my question. Like, that's why people, I don't think, get that you mask, because obviously they're seeing the mask. It's like, like you can tell them and you can bring it down a bit, but they still won't get it.
But just to get back to Shadowfalls first, and then we'll delve. We'll see how it connects to Rondo's here. So the crux of the question is, how do you differentiate between whether actually, can you word it again? Because I want to get it right.
How do you validate your claim of being the schizoid?
Okay, how do you validate? Well, it depends on what your claim of being the schizoid is, right? It depends.
That'd be another good question.
Yeah. So what is it that you're defining as that, right? So how do you define that Shadowfall? Like Shadowfall, like what do you mean by like how do you justify such a claim?
The best way I've been able to justify it is I've had just a certain innate sense of a connection to some sort of emptiness. A lot of people call it the void, and I kind of hook that connection as my gateway to being schizoid.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like that's not a in my head thing. It's like an actual connection to the sort of emptiness that
what is it? Okay, let's go deeper.
Sure.
What's the void? What's emptiness? What is it? What is it you're describing? Fuck all these like vague terms. Like, what is that?
I would love to use a better term for it.
Okay,
but,
well, let's change. Don't give me an explanation of what it is. My void,
I guess
and your
ignorance,
void might be
maybe
incredibly different. So you're connected to ignorance. What do you mean?
Well, when I was younger, there was definitely a major form of ignorance and just how things worked and how I understood things, how I could read my body, how I could listen to my body. Okay. There's still a disconnect between me and that now. Yeah. But when it comes to the void, it's like a sixth sense. And I know that gets tossed around a lot with like schizotypal.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how else to go into it besides saying I'm crazy.
But what is the thing though, right? Like, if we were to try to concretize it a little bit, what is this void? Is it just like a sort of objective value nihilism? Is it
No, it's not nihilism at all.
okay?
It's
All right.
it's like a place of nothing.
Okay, a place of nothing. Okay, what does that mean? Like, I'm trying to figure out what that means.
Hell if I know. I've been trying to figure this shit out for 22 years.
Okay, so how do you know it's not like some objective nihilism?
It is incredibly intimate, and it's not something that makes me. It's like not a depressing thing.
Okay,
It's not like makes
Is
me.
there-
It doesn't make me devalue
okay.
things.
Is
It's
there a possibility that you're just placing negative connotations to what just is your very idiosyncratic sense of value and importance regarding life and your existence? That you're calling it the void? That you're calling it something that sounds innately negative?
well, I don't think it's negative at all.
Okay, so it's not negative. Why call it the void then?
Well, I said the void as other people would describe it, so I hope it might be the same thing as what they call it.
What do you
But
describe
to
it
me, it's more of just it's like a certain place of emptiness,
as? Mhm.
almost like it's a comfort to go back to.
Would you say that would you be able to describe it as like everything's asleep, kind of like you're at a family gathering or sleepover or whatever, everyone's asleep, you could just sneak away, do whatever, exist, no one has any bearing on you, nor you them, though you could, but don't exactly want to. 'Cause the way you've described what you have is exactly how I describe what I have, this intimate connection to this thing. For me, it's like everything's just asleep. Not nihilism, it's just comfortable.
It might just be a form of dissociation.
Probably, yeah.
That's where it becomes difficult, right? The reason your question is difficult, in my opinion, while eating beef jerky, is that my brain does this thing that's really annoying, where I hear a question and then I think of 10 different ways that question can be interpreted. And the whatever like variables that could be considered. I'm not saying I can see them all at once, but I can see all the different ones as I think, right? And sometimes I lose some and gain others. And certain words will trigger my recollection of certain ones that I might have not considered at one point or another. I'm not like some fucking guy that can have all the shit I don't have all my tabs open at once, right? Like, I gotta close a certain amount of tabs while I open others. But I know there's a fuck ton of tabs. Does that make sense? So I know that there is a fuck ton of tabs, and so I make decisions or I discuss things based on the understanding, the acceptance that there's probably a virtually infinite amount of tabs. And so I try to like approach a question like this with that consideration. And it gets really fucking messy. But because human beings, regardless of their conditions or way of thinking or whatever the fuck, yeah, nihilism doesn't equal oppression. Absolutely. Optimistic nihilism keeps me alive. But I would say if I wanted to like minimalize it or what's the word, be really reductive about it, I would say the question is less about what values or parameters you have to place in order to justify yourself as a schizoid, right? I'm trying to figure out what that means exactly. Like, because the way I justify myself or other people as schizoid is difficult because I just think of two things. I think of you have a predisposition since early childhood toward abstract concerns and preoccupations, plus, and this is for schizoid, plus your environment felt hostile and difficult and neglectful because of those preoccupations that other people did not understand, share, or tolerate. And so thus you retreated into some kind of an internal world or resentment toward your fellow man or resentment toward yourself and your inability to connect to the social or cognitive framework that primarily is constructed around you. And so you went the direction of isolation and alienation and disconnection and disassociation of your feelings because your brain at some point made the decision that it's of no value because your feelings are of no consequence to this world that is incompatible to you, and so that's why even be connected to that emotional range to begin with. In many cases, I'm not saying every time. So when you get all those issues, plus you add the element of having this abstraction based sort of cognition, when both those things are present, that's when I would say somebody, oh, that's justifiably schizoid, right? That's my definition of it, right? It's the behavior that the DSM describes, but for very abstract, sort of non-interpersonal reasons that those behaviors exist. Because if you were to talk about somebody that's displaying what would often be considered schizoid behaviors like isolation, disconnection from social activity, blah, 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 all the whole list. But then their reasoning for it is very interpersonal, very equidistant, not very abstract at all. Then I would consider that person to be closer to being, like, I guess, avoidant, right? So, I mean, just based on whatever definitions are available, at least currently. So I know that whole thing's a fucking argument in and of itself, but that's kind of my point. I think there has to be a schizo there for the schizoid. For the schizoid, there's the schizo, and I think the schizo is an element that is a different kind of cognitive framework or spectrum, an outlier of what most people experience perception wise and so on, similar to like something like autism. So that's what's so interesting, right? Like, and like, talking about something like autism, that's what's frustrating too, is within psychology they don't have any categorical setup that I'm aware of. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, right? But they don't have a categorical setup for these cognitive outliers that are understood to be autistic, and the manner in which they develop trauma responses and defenses and adaptations and pathology, or whatever the fuck you like to fucking call it, whatever. There's no separate categorical system for them, right? The manner in which the trauma response will be expressed from somebody that's autistic, and also the manner in which they determine or define trauma will differ. And the ways in which they express or adapt or cope to that trauma is going to look very different, and it's going to be for very different reasons than a neurotypical person. But there's no like categorical sort of separation there. A depressed, a consistently depressed, a dysthymic autistic person should be categorized differently than a dysthymic neurotypical person or a dysthymic schizo person, because the reasoning and the approach in which you would take such therapy would differ greatly, right? So there should be CBT. If you want to talk cognitive behavioral therapy, there should be CBT approaches to schizos, autistic people, and neurotypical people. because the context or that you would approach said therapy would differ extremely between those. And if you were to use neurotypical CBT methodology onto, say, somebody that's autistic, you're probably going to end up with shit results, because the neurotypical CBT is going to be centralized around the idea of interpersonal communication or interpersonal concerns or trauma being the primary source of suffering and and cognitive distortion, right? So I think if you don't separate those fucking things, you're going to end up with a bunch of neurodivergent outliers that are just going to be damaged more than helped by something like CBT. Like, and so like you, for example, Shadowfall, right? If your concerns are very schizo, and like I said, I don't consider a derogative term, very schizo spectrum, and your emotional conundrums and difficulties are along that realm, a therapist or a psychologist approaching you with neurotypical strategies might cause you more harm than help you, or confusion. If anything, it might feed into this idea that because you don't fit into the neurotypical world exactly, your whatever insecurities or sense of self-worth would diminish even further, because you're not receiving any benefits from this CBT that your average person would receive benefits from. So then that would add another layer of brokenness in your mind. So it's a fucking mess. That's the problem. I think that, okay, maybe this is a hot take or whatever, a radical take, but it's just my thought. I think that autistic people would benefit more from being treated by autistic people. I think an autistic psychologist or psychiatrist would probably be more helpful to an autistic patient. Not because it's better or whatever, it's just because it'll be more streamlined communication. It won't require as much metacognition because they'll be there. So I think that there's a value in that, because there are schizopsychologists and psychiatrists out there. You call it like schizoaffective, schizotypal, diagnosed psychologists out there. And I've talked to schizoids and schizotypal people that have had psychologists that have openly said they're that way, or that they've, work with that stuff within themselves, that those end up being the most effective and useful psychologists to those people. Because even though the central focus of their sometimes pathology or way of thinking is different from the patients, that are able to understand the sort of direction and type of thinking and conclusions that are being made based on the information that's available. Similarly to how a neurotypical, interpersonally focused psychologist could understand the connections and the difficulties that a neurotypical, interpersonally focused person would be having and presenting to them. So it becomes, and part of the problem is that, like, say Shadowfall, if you believe yourself to be schizo or whatever, if you approach a neurotypical psychologist and tell them, oh, these are the reasons I feel disconnected, they might try to dig and find interpersonal reasons why you feel disconnected, and they might make the assumption that your abstract reasons are a way of making an excuse for coping with the true reasons, which would be interpersonal exclusive, when in fact in your case it might not be. Your emotions might be actually tied down to these abstract ideas, not the interpersonal realm. You're not just coping. So it just depends on the person, right? I'm not saying that's the case for you, but I know I've heard plenty of people that are schizoid and otherwise tell me that is a primary issue with when they deal with their therapists or the psychologists, is that they keep trying to find some kind of interpersonal pathology for why they have the feelings they do, when in fact they just have the feelings to do. They do. A cigar is a cigar. It's just a different kind of cigar. So, yeah, it's a mess, man. It's a mess. So that question's tough because of that reason. Because I guess the easiest way to answer it would be you need to surround yourself, not a hug fucking box, but you need to surround yourself with people that agree and disagree with you about your assertions, but also share this similar kind of cognitive framework. So if they disagree with you or don't agree with your assertions or your preoccupations and the value you place on them, they would at least understand the way in which that process occurs and relate to it, and thus be able to talk or communicate in your language. And I think that is the only way to find some kind of solace and understanding that you're not just making shit up in your head about yourself.
I think that's already been proven true by joining the Zoid Voids, so I have that to thank you for. But
it's okay, man. Just don't send nudes, bro. It's all good. I'm kidding. I don't want them. I'm kidding. I'll continue.
I definitely hit a low point right before I found this place. But then, even just a couple of weeks when I first was here, it's helped immensely with my self-perceptions and just understanding of things. But I don't know. Lately, I feel like I'm too functional to be here. Like, I can function too much in society to be like a valid schizoid. I'm just not trying hard enough.
Sorry, I'm laughing. It's just, it's not funny because, I think you're right. It's just funny because, I don't associate social functionality with personal, fulfillment, joy, or comfort. Right? Because, I feel more in tune with myself as who I am and what I'm actually about now that I would probably be far less socially functional within this framework. Like, I could mask, like I used to probably, I would say I would be more effectively socially functional in the past than I would be now, even though I'm much more attuned with who I am and what's going on. Not because, because of some fueled resentment or something. It's just because I'm like, I don't want to. I want to be me. I want to be me. Fuck you. I'm tired of this. I don't care. I want to be me. Mm-hmm. And now that I've been able to be me around other people that understand it, then I'm like, well, why do I want to be around other people that aren't willing to even listen? Why would I even want to associate with that? It's destructive to me, and I can associate to it for pragmatic reasons, but I stopped putting this sense of value in being a part of what they produce in the way they want. Like, I want to be a part of what they produce in the way I want, and I will express my self-worth, but on my terms. But I will take into consideration your terms and then adjust accordingly in order to match it or run parallel with your terms. But I'm tired of just running under your terms exclusively. I'm done with that. So because of that, I might be less socially functional at this point, but I feel like my life is far more meaningful. So it's like this weird balance, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
It's knowing when to give a fuck and when to not give a fuck, when to be pragmatic about giving a fuck, when to express yourself, and the lack of fucks you have, and when it's a good idea and when it's not. But just having some agency over it is powerful. Personally, right? Like, I'm starting from 0% now instead of 100% with people in the world, so I resonate with what you're saying right now. I had to finally learn this lesson this week Good balance. Good. I know it's rough, man. Like here's something. Here's like a stupid kind of non sequitur. Um, okay, so when I used to go, even my wife gets annoyed, but when I used to go into like Walmarts and stuff, right, or whatever, you know that section. Like, tell me if you guys know what I'm talking about. You know that section of the Walmart in which you have to walk, or whatever store that has this, you have to walk through this. It's usually by the electronics aisle. But you have to walk through this path where there's a bunch of dudes trying to sell you like internet.
Oh yeah, I
Okay, you
see
know what I'm
that
talking
often
about,
in
right?
shopping malls as
Whatever, right?
well.
They're trying to sell
The
you
phone
shit.
kiosks.
Yeah, they're trying to sell you shit, right? Okay, so those guys used to like annoy the shit out of me because I'm like, what the fuck are you coming up to me for? I don't want to talk to you. They used to annoy me. Now they don't annoy me. I'm kind of indifferent, right? So I'm not rude, but I'm also not attempting to mask and sit there and listen to their spiel because I don't want to be rude, right? Even though I know I'm not interested in it. And so I'm not masking up like maybe I used to and listen to their shit and then be polite and say, oh, no, I'm not interested. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. And go through that whole process, right? I know this is a very petty kind of explanation of a manner in which I do it. And, but I'm also not going, fuck you, man, leave me alone, right? Because that's just absurd, too. That's just like it's just an overexertion, in my belief. So now when they go up to me, I take into consideration they're just doing their job. They're trying to sell me something. I don't want that thing, but I also don't want to spend too much time. I don't want to waste too much time sitting here listening to them when I know I'm going to say no or I'm not interested because I've already have my internet that I'm fine with, and I've already done enough decision making research on my internet so that I know this is what's appropriate for me. So instead, I go, "Oh no, thank you." Like I'll just say, "Oh no, I'm not really interested," um, and I'm busy. I have other goals in mind. And most of the time, they'll just be like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry." They might think, "Oh, fuck that guy. What a dick," but I don't care. It's fuck. Who cares? They'll be fine. They're gonna get
Honestly, it gets easier if they say that because then it's not so. Oh, I feel obligated.
Yeah, but like they even if they feel annoyed or something by what you said, or it's even like sometimes my wife will be like, "Why you? Oh man, you're so dismissive of them. They're just trying to do their job." I'm like, I'm not trying to dismiss them. I'm trying to dismiss them as much as I can without harming anybody because I'm not willing to put in the time. Because why should I? And it's kind of liberating. So it's sort of like, oh no, thank you. I'm not interested. I have things to do. I'm here for something else. I'm not really interested in talking about internet and prices. And yeah, you might get like a kind of vibe of like, whoa, okay, guy, whatever. That's fine. I don't care. That's better than me sitting there and spending my time listening to you when I'm not interested. But it's also better than me being an asshole and be like, fuck off, man. You know? So it's kind of like a nice kind of in between that makes me feel like I could still hold on to my agency while at the same time having a understanding of the ramifications of you know being I guess polite within society under certain conditions. You always give them hands while you walk by. You just quietly bow and just keep walking. That's dope. I like that. It's like I understand why you're doing this. Goodbye. It's so good. It's it's great. It's great. And it might make some people that would rather sit there and politely listen because they have more like I guess interpersonal or societal concerns about how they're being perceived in front of another person that they would actually sit there and listen to their jargon and then eventually politely decline after listening for no reason. I feel like you're both wasting your time and theirs. So I'm finding like a kind of in between. It's like, how do I not waste either of our time without being a dick? Like a complete dick. Maybe a little bit of a dick. At least according to their parameters, but not mine. my mind, I go, well, this is better for everyone involved. So I don't know. That's like a really minutia, well, not minutia, very kind of simple way of explaining it. Obviously, this can extend into a variety of avenues that are far more complex. So, what do you guys think? Who's even here?
Trying
You trying what?
to think.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Nothing's coming.
I mean, if you disagree, tell me why you disagree. I don't give a fuck.
Well, no, I agree with you on the idea that standing there and wasting their time is always also a negative. So being blunt with them, but even in like a non-offensive manner, would be beneficial to you both.
Like, you could even, if you want to take it even further, you can just be like, especially if you don't have to worry about anything, you can be like, oh man, I understand you're doing your job. I'm not interested. I have other shit I'm worried about. So that's both acknowledging their position and their conundrum, while at the same time expressing yours and moving on. And if they find that offensive, well, that's on them. So whatever.
Kind of the habit of walking away or ignoring in some way. Because, like, I don't know. I just don't think about it really when I do it.
Wait, you just like hear them talking and just walk away?
Yep.
Hey, whatever, man. I mean, like, it just depends on your own preoccupations about like what is important to you. If that works for you, then fuck it. They'll get over it. They'll get over it. They'll be fine.
Yeah, they will certainly be fine. They always are, I think. I mean, I don't hear anything about them being dead, but like I've tried to understand this whole empathy thing, compassion thing, but I can't seem to use it in everyday life. But I can understand it in ways. I know that's like a tangent, but it makes me think about that.
Using it in everyday life can be incredibly pragmatic, incredibly useful and pragmatic in as a practice.
Makes sense. I'm good at faking it, and it does get me places, but it's draining to use it all the time. But I am practicing.
Yeah, but you don't have to fake it, right? Like, you don't always have to fake it. Like, I think in my case, I go, oh, they are of a different they have different preoccupations, priorities than I do. That I'm an outlier, and that's okay. I am okay with being an outlier, and I accept that I live in a world in which I am an outlier, but at the same time, I give myself a certain level of agency amongst the acceptance that I have to navigate my life as a cognitive outlier. So it's kind of like a nice kind of in between. It's sort of like, if, like, I don't know, if you were born without the ability to do something with your body that everyone else can, something or another. It doesn't mean you have to give up all of your fucking agency to a society that's built around people that can do it. But it does mean that you have to accept that there's a variety of factors that you can't change very easily, but you have a certain level of agency that you can apply. You place whatever, if you place your agency and your sense of self-worth as a priority above the consequences of doing that, then you don't feel bad even when shit goes negatively in certain instances. So, like, in other words, if I apply my agency to a situation, and, like, even in the case in which I was talking about the fucking, frontier salesmen or whatever the fuck, internet salesmen, if for some reason I said what I said to them, oh, I'm not really interested. I get where you're coming from, but I have other things. I have things that I prioritize before whatever it is you're trying to sell me. So thanks anyway. I don't have to say it all like that, but if I were to say that and they turn around, and the consequences of me saying that are, fuck you, asshole. Jeez, man, I'm just trying to, or even not that extreme. They just go, oh, there's no need to be rude, man. Like, instead of having to turn around and go, "Oh, I'm sorry," or "Oh, I didn't mean it." Like, no, I would just walk away and just laugh to myself. I'd be like, "Well, shit. I guess they didn't understand what it is I was trying to say. I wasn't trying to harm them, but they perceive it as harm, so that whatever." I would probably just get a giggle out of it instead of being like bothered by it at that point, because I tried my best, balancing out my agency with your needs. So
Yeah, the balancing act is a difficult one, as well as like, okay, so like I understand the concept of other perspectives, how to be nice, like when I'm alone, but it's just not systematic for me. It's not automatic. It's not a thing that just comes to me like walking does. So in practice, just kind of doesn't happen. And the balance thing with anything black and white thinking makes that very difficult. So how much agency is too much? How much agency is too little? Like, at what point am I like just simping for this person, and at what point am I being a little sociopath? Well,
yeah. I think that's definitely important. I think it's in the case of the schizoid. I think it's just kind of finding that balance. And I think they're far more capable of achieving that goal than like if you're dealing with somebody that's like what is often considered to be ASPD. They've already made a decision, whether they know it or not, about um, they're going, my agency is far more important in every capacity to whatever the fuck you want from me, because you're trying to impose your agency on me to the point where you have become now an enemy. Like society has become an enemy to me. To people have become an enemy, a threat. So I think that's I think a lot of schizoids are kind of caught in the middle oftentimes. They have this kind of like resentment, but at the same time, they don't want to be this problem for other sentient beings within their species.
Yeah.
It's
like schizoid. Sorry.
No. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, schizoid, you'd think it would be easier to treat if, like, if it were studied more. I often actually view schizoid as like kind of like how I view BPD as the brown dwarf star compared to a sociopath's actual star. BPD tried to be a sociopath but failed. Schizoid, like, maybe like they seem so similar in so many ways. Schizoid almost seems like it could have veered towards BPD but didn't.
I'd have to disagree with some parts of that, but I don't want to get into it.
Probably should. It's not based on any actual, fact. It's just
no. I know. I just even if it's not, like, my loose association connections are going, I don't buy it. But I like to hear it sometime. But continue.
I honestly lost my train of thought.
Oh, my bad. Shit.
Happens a lot.
No, it's okay. That's my life as well. I didn't mean to derail you. I'm sorry. I don't like I'm sorry, not because like, oh no, I derailed you, you're sad. It's more like I'm sorry because I was interested in where you were going, and now we're not going to get there.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
I'm like, fuck, I wish I didn't do that, because I was actually interested in where you were going. No, we don't know where you were going.
Something like, okay, what was the thing that you said before I started saying things?
Man, what was I saying before you started saying things? I was talking about agency and ASPD, and then you started talking about BPD.
Oh, yeah. Like how BPD people make like an automatic opinion on someone's schizoids, however, have more agency because they don't quite get. Yeah, I was going somewhere with that. Yeah, right, that's why I was doing it as that, because like those like so far gone in a way, because like they don't really have agency over themselves, and that creates a conundrum, honestly. And like, though it might sound tangential, this veers into the idea of like free will and all that. Like, can you say that someone with BPD even has free will with all their emotional dysregulation, thoughts, all of that? Because like their self-identity is fractured. It's like they were given a puzzle piece at birth, and then or a puzzle at birth, but then the box was taken away, so they don't know how to like put the pieces together correctly. And every time they put the pieces together correctly or seemingly correctly, it shatters because it happens to be wrong or they didn't do it fast enough or something. For Schizoid, it's like they have the puzzle and the box. However, the box is just hidden. They don't really want to put the pieces together. At least that's how I view my case. It's like they want to, but they don't, and they don't
In
know
some
that they
cases,
don't.
they can't even find the pieces. They're like they're
Yeah.
there. They're just they're under the couch and in various parts of the house.
Yeah, like I hid it in early childhood, and now I have no idea where I put it.
Yeah,
Like
I know there was like half this puzzle is like hidden in somewhere in the backyard and put it in a box, but now I have to dig up the whole backyard to find it. So I mean, I get what you're trying to say. I can't speak to BPD enough because as much as I've kind of read a little bit about it and listened to stuff about it, I haven't interacted with enough people that are, I guess, BPD but self-aware and can have a conversation pertaining to it. I'd be interested in that just to have that conversation and try to metacognate into their situation and try to sort of understand it at least in that way. Since I don't experience what they experience, right?
Luckily for luckily for me, in a weird, almost morbid way, my mom has BPD.
So you have like
I got
firsthand.
Firsthand experience. I know so many inner workings of it. I already knew what BPD it was before I even knew what it was called. Fuck, I lost my train of thought again. But like if you have questions about BPD, you could just ask me. Like, get like no broad questions. I am not able to answer broad
let me see.
questions.
A question about BPD. All right, let me think. Based on your experiences, okay, try to think here. How much? Okay, regarding the intellectual capacity of the individual with said BPD, right? What's interesting is, do you think that the intellectual capacity of that individual with BPD impacts their ability to see or have moments of in between lucidity, sort of when they're not being swayed in one direction or another because of it, in which they're self-aware or can discuss in a self-aware manner their fluctuations or often associated splitting, interpersonal splitting.
I see what you mean. Sorry, my throat's weird. First thing that I'll say is it appears that the more intelligent you are, the easier it is to manipulate yourself to create coping mechanisms to shatter your mind more. My mom was a very intelligent person and still is, but like even when she's lucid, she's obviously not truly lucid. Her intellectual capacity is still there, but disassociated, as well as like hold on, train of thought. Oh, right. Her emotional dysregulation. The emotional dysregulation. I know some others with BPD too, so I could fact check this. There are some variations, but it seems largely the same in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I've noticed that it's like the intellectual capacity is there, the emotional dysregulation just sucks it all up.
Mm-hmm.
The more intelligent the BPD the person with BPD, the more they've been able to manipulate themselves to cope through their childhood, and ergo, the more difficult it is to get home.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, the same thing happens with a lot of schizoids too, though. Like
Yeah,
the more
definitely.
intelligent that schizoid is, it doesn't necessarily make them better at tackling the issues that come with it. It just makes them better at coping and rationalizing those issues into a position in which they find more comfort and in why they have very emotionally driven assertions that they do. So much so that they think that they're being driven entirely by logic and reason, and not by by just fucking feelings. Right, and
100%.
that's just so fucking funny to me. It's so dark. Also, better of height. It's so fucking dark, dude. That's part of the difficulty of like a lot of fucking schizoids, right? Like, I've talked to like schizoids that like I'll try to explain to them. I'm like, oh, like I'll use their train of thought and their kind of whatever reductive or what is it, reductive and God, I'm tired. There's reductive and then there's, come on guys, reasoning. You have the reductive and you have
Deuce?
deductive.
Deductive?
Deductive. Thank you. Deductive. So I attempt to use kind of both styles depending on the individual that I'm talking to, and the type of reasoning they're doing in order to come to certain rationalizations that I think are being driven by an emotional thing that they haven't come to terms with. And like, this is just me trying to like learn, right? I'm not trying to be a therapist or anything. I'm just trying to learn what's happening. And I'll experiment and I'll dabble with it. And oftentimes, if you have an individual, if you have a schizoid that's like really, really into thinking that, oh no, it's this and it's that, and they have this kind of what they believe to be this logically consistent situation, if you present to them information that contradicts it or causes a disruption in whatever cognitive dissonance or intellectualization they produced in an attempt to cope, then it will reduce itself into making really kind of inconsistent or contradictory excuses for why they should no longer bother talking with you.
Can I interject on this? I
Yeah,
didn't mean
go
to
for it.
interrupt.
No, I don't.
But yeah,
Go for it.
because me and you've like had a conversation about this before, kind of,
Mhm.
and it's like, are you trying to come up with some way to cope with this, or are you actually accurate?
Yeah, are you trying to
So, like,
dismiss me? Are you just trying to dismiss me because it hurts, or it's
yeah,
triggering some shit you don't want to manage or deal with because it's uncomfortable? Or are you actually being consistent? Like, why would you ever dismiss anyone outright just because you think you know better than them? Like, that's silly to me. But anyway, continue. Sorry.
but yeah, because I'm like, I have this thought that, or at least what I've noticed, that some people are just. I used to use the wrong term and I'd say intelligent, but now I use the word aware. Some people just have a little more awareness about, I guess, people, themselves, and the world around them. So, pretty much my thought is, okay, so I'm like, if you're, like, how do you differentiate between, like, if someone's actually being accurate to, like, and actually, like, has this awareness of themselves and people, or if they are trying to, like, find ways to cope and they're not really being as aware as they think they are.
Yeah. Can you be a little more concise with that? Like, can you break that down a little bit further? Possible.
Fuck. Let me try to find an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, right,
Examples.
fuck. Yeah. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
No, take your time. I don't give a shit. I ain't got. I'm good. You guys spell out if you want.
I don't know if this is a good one.
All right, whatever.
But
Give me a bad one. I don't care.
Say like like I say, I don't believe like selfless actions are actually possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
And someone would say, okay, well, why do you believe that, right? and I would give them like an example of just human nature in general, right? So they'd say, okay, well, I help with this person, like gave them a right to work. That doesn't really benefit me, and I'm doing it pretty much just to benefit them, and that's selfless in their eyes, right? But to me, I'm like on a biological level, even if you don't see like some benefit to yourself, it's still a benefit to society for people, for human beings to be this way, to help others. Because in turn, they may help you, they may help your family if you have this energy and you're doing this.
Group,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're getting into some group choice based like Evo Psych type stuff. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I'm like, that's why I said I don't know if this is a good example. I couldn't think of any really. It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
But so I'm like, from my perspective, I'm like, I'm aware that just because you perceive something to be a certain way doesn't necessarily relate to the reality of the actual matter, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. I just don't know how to align it to whatever it is we were discussing at this point.
Yeah, I'm like, that was... Yeah, I don't know if that was the right
impossible.
example. But...
Okay, I'm looking at my stats. It's impossible that I have 0 viewers right now. Are any of you guys watching while you're talking?
If I'm doing that, I'd get weird feedback and one would lag and it would just be weird.
Yeah, that's why I'm also not watching as I'm...
Turn mine to 144p.
Boy, it's that bad? Shit. Oh man, I gotta fix my internet issues. One of the fairly soon I'm gonna attempt to just I need to direct connect to some of this shit, but it's gonna require a very long Ethernet cable. And I'm just gonna have to do it because this is getting absurd. I feel like a lot of my issues have to do more with that than anything.
Probably.
Ugh, this is fucking nuts. Hold
on. If you don't want to run a long Ethernet cable, you might be able to try some sort of aluminum foil or some sort of metal like that you can like surround the Wi-Fi router with. But so you can direct the quote-unquote Wi-Fi signals to not like your walls, and you can direct it towards parts of your house. I don't know how true that is, but I've seen it online about people saying it's working.
Fake. That sounds
but
fake.
I've seen things online about people talking about it.
I'm gonna direct it into my fucking brain while wearing an aluminum hat too.
It's like
really close to the router.
It's like if your Wi-Fi's in like an open space, or I guess maybe next to a wall, I don't know, but you could have aluminum foil that makes it bounce off of the foil instead and like not go in that direction.
Oh Lord!
Technically, there's no reason that wouldn't work.
I mean, yeah.
As far as
I know Wi-Fi cable or Ethernet cables can get tedious and annoying.
I know they can't. It's not that bad. It's just a matter of putting it together. Because all I have to do is put the Ethernet, connect it, wire it up to my ceiling, then put like little pegs to like hold it up there. It'll probably be like an hour, 2 hour process to make it happen. But I feel like it needs to be done because I don't know how any of this works. I think a lot of the issue when it comes to my streams is that many of these people, because like I said, I'll see the numbers shoot up and down, and I was trying to figure out why the fuck does that happen? Like, how the fuck do my streams go to like up to like 15, 16, 20 people, and then like within 5 minutes or 3 or 4 minutes drop back down to 10 or 9, right, or 7 or less. Right now it says 1. So I think I've come up with the reason for why that occurs, and I'd like to, before I end the stream, I'd like to get your guys' feedback since you're on here. I think the reason this is happening, and I'm only basing this on my own experiences of how I handle this shit. It says 0 concurrent viewers right now. I think the reason for why this is happening is because a lot of people initially go, oh, I'm going to click on this thing and put it on my watch later list so I can watch it later because I can't watch it right now or I'm doing something else. And because then because I'll get, like, for example, right now the analytics is telling me, oh, you've gotten 50 views, right? But then by the end of tomorrow, it'll say 200, right? And I'm like, what's going on there? And I think what's happening is the people that see the link or click on it that want to hear it but can't at that moment, they just go into it and then they put it in their watch later list or something, and then they watch it the next day or whatever time zone that is more useful to them. Like, what do you think of that? Do you think that's like a baseless assertion, or do you think that's a reasonable thought?
I've never once used the watch later list, so I wouldn't know.
I have like 609 items in my watch later, and like
so I
50
feel like,
of them are your streams. So
yeah, I feel like that a lot of it might be that, something like that. Because all the streams I listen to, I don't listen to them live. I listen to them later, and so I can pause it, right, and I can play it as I want. So I don't know. I gotta fix this internet problems. It's a problem.
No, I think that's accurate.
Do you know
I agree.
Do you know when most of your demographic is watching? Or, I mean, I'm sorry, do you know who most of your demographic is? Because you can try and correlate it with the time zone.
I know that's what's weird. Most of my demographic, based on the analytics, is just random, and like it's not. I don't have. It's not mostly. I would say it's a big chunk of it might be American, and then the rest of it, the other big chunk of it is European. It's both Western and Eastern European, and then that's it. Like, and the time zones are so fucking. There's such a gap.
Yeah.
That I just don't. And then see, this is where it gets even more complicated because of the niche demographic that I'm trying to reach with all this and discuss and have fun with and put up videos for. They are oftentimes insomniacs or have very kind of different sleep schedules, and because they either do night work or no work if they're younger, especially, and so but still, like, say, sleep all day and stay up all night, but night and day being different, obviously, depending on your region. So I think that's why a lot of my streams get watched as a VOD over live. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. Like, I wish I just go through my, like, content and just go, oh, I also don't understand why certain videos just get more attention than others. Like, I don't understand what makes them more attention driving than others. I think it's just name association. Like, obviously, anytime I do anything with Eleanor Greenberg, it gets far more attention because Greenberg is a name that comes up a lot when you're somebody that's really wanting to talk about or look into schizoid stuff because they have such a following on Quora on that matter. So maybe part of it is that, right? Like, for example, I'm trying to set up a video or like here. Let me give you an example. I'm trying to do a video, or I'm trying to do like a thing with. I don't know if you guys know who Nancy McWilliams is.
No.
Okay, Nancy McWilliams is another big name within psychology that has talked about the topic of schizoid. Like, at least, as far as that goes. So I have a feeling if I put up a video with Nancy McWilliams, it's probably going to do better than a lot of the other stuff I put up. And it's only going to do better because there's more people watching it. But then I'm going to see a lower watch retention. Maybe. I don't know. Like, I don't. It's fucking weird, man. The way like a lot of this stuff functions, I don't even know how to approach it. Like, let me see here. I'm trying to look at.
Well, there's this one YouTuber I watch on occasion who usually gets at least 40 to 60,000 views on a video.
Yeah.
But all of them are VODs that are edited, right? So when they stream, they get literally a single % of that, if not less, of the viewers on the stream.
Yeah. So
it's I don't think it's just the whole thing. I think it's just more people don't watch streams
live, right? Or it's not that they don't want to. Maybe they're just too preoccupied with other shit to be able to watch them live effectively. That's interesting. I'm just looking at my videos, and I can't figure out why certain ones do so much better than others. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, I'm looking through some of these now. It's the title, it's this, it's that. I don't fucking get it. It's weird because... Go ahead, sorry.
Could be like... it could be either a hodgepodge of timing and or like most of your videos are, just like regular. Every YouTuber has a regular thing that goes on, and then like suddenly you talk to psychologists, a lot of people are like, "Ooh, what's gonna happen this time?" Could be that, or like
maybe
like title, yeah, for sure. Like could be like an association that perhaps most schizoids or most people are interested in seeing, kind of like almost clickbaity, like an accidental clickbait sort of thing.
So weird,
to them.
Man.
That'd be my guess anyway.
No, I get where you're coming from. I just find it all so fucking odd. like let me get like an example. I have okay, I'm looking at my like super old shit that I uploaded that was in the stream. I used to do these kind of just rambles, right? Because that's how I started. So if I look at, I have a ramble from. It might be just a word association. Like I have a ramble in which I did Schizoid. Like this is from like close to like 2 years ago, right? I had a ramble that I did called Schizoid Politics or Schizoid YouTube or Schizoid Horror or Schizoid Birthdays. And those have like less than 1K. But then the one right before it, or one of the ones before it, which is like Schizoid Relationships, that one has like 7,000 views. Okay.
The word relationships reverberates to a lot of people, especially non-schizoids, and perhaps subconsciously.
So that's why they're getting clicked on. Like it must be something of that nature, right? Or like the first video I did with Eleanor has, from like 11 months ago, has 7.3K views, but then the video I did with them 10 months ago, right, only has 2.8. But then it's so weird. Like I don't understand how this works. And so like progressively, the videos I've done with Eleanor and then introduced Karen regarding different subjects have had like fluctuating or reducing amounts. So I mean, is it just all fucking just novelty? Like it's so weird.
I just thought of something.
The one from 11 months ago and the one from 10 months ago are only a month apart.
Yeah, they're only a month apart, but they're like fucking like 4,000 view different, which is crazy.
Think about this though, right? So, because I just thought about something when you guys were speaking,
Yeah.
you kind of made me think. What if it's like instead of like I know your stuff is like more catered towards schizoids. What if it's people who have like these type of people in their family and they're
And then my second part, third part, and final part got significantly less. It's just it's interesting to me, like how that functions.
you disappeared for a second.
Huh?
Oh, sorry, I said you disappeared for a second.
Oh yeah, that's not surprising. No, I'm saying like if I like that's why I stopped doing things in parts because I did schizoid masking tips and then schizoid masking part 2 and then schizoid masking part 3 and then part 4. And I was rambling about different aspects of masking and how to manage it. And only the first video got any kind of traction and the ones following it got very little. So it's just all so fucking weird, man. Like it's so fucking difficult.
The average person also gets bored very fast, or feels that they know everything about something from like the first.
Horrible. I don't even understand that.
I'm saying, like, think of it like this, right? So, first video, it's the first video. It's gonna, of course, it's going to get more, like, a little more traction.
No, but I do.
Anyone who also like
I
want
can
to
do
follow
a first
it
video
would,
on
I feel like,
something
would be
and
more
nobody.
schizoid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it's just more niche people want to hear more niche topics. You know what I mean? And then just like on a broader sense, people with broader like views want to hear broader like these like relationships, stuff like that. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe if you're searching up schizoid related things on the internet, it's because you have questions. So the things more people have questions with are the ones that hit more views.
That's where I was going. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's just so fucking difficult. It's so difficult because that's what's funny is it's just topical because like I said, the schizoid masking first video did well. I tried to do the parts thing, didn't work out. So then when I tried to do a second schizoid tip, which focused on anhedonia versus activity, that one did okay. And then I tried to do a fourth tip that regarded word association and neurotypical comparison. That one did very poorly. The one before that, which was realistic therapy expectations, and obviously, in my opinion, that one did like they just they just do progressively worse. If they're, I think I need to stop numbering shit. Holy shit! I need to stop numbering stuff. I think I just found out what one of the main problems is.
I think that's a good idea.
I need to stop numbering shit. Oh my god. That's so stupid.
Glad we can bring some sort of consensus.
Schizoid Conversations number 12. Well, if there's number 12, I should read number 1. And if I read number 1, then that's 12 hours to go through.
Previously on Avatar.
Okay, so in other words, okay, like for example, oh man, it's so stupid, it's so simple. What the fuck? I'm an idiot. Like, no, it's just so stupid. Like, it's funny that, like, I had the first art Hedonia, did okay, not great, but then, the Max Durat video was doing okay, but then Max Durat was nice enough to, or Durat or whatever, was nice enough to put it on their community feed, and so like it fucking quadrupled the views on it recently, so that's good. But I was like, oh, maybe I need to stop fucking putting numbers on this shit, or creating like a category. Oh shit, that's probably why they progressively do poorly. Oh man, that's so stupid. That's so dumb. That's so fucking simple. Holy shit. I feel like an idiot now.
No, I don't think you're dumb. I'm like, because my brain's like, I wouldn't have thought of that either. But I'm like, actually, yeah, that makes sense.
I wouldn't have thought of that at all. Yeah.
I mean, in my brain, I was like, oh, of course you number them, right? There's more of them, so you would want to have some kind of categorization of which one is which and when it happened, right? Chronologically. I guess all I was thinking in my fucking head. But it looks like it has a negative impact on the viewership of it.
Well, maybe not, because the Zoid conversations kind of go up and down, and I think that would be topical.
But
Yeah, there's definitely that for sure. That's kind of what I thought. The person almost became disinterested, but I decided to keep, being here anyway.
You know what? Yeah, you know what I'm gonna do? Okay, I'm gonna try an experiment. Now that you guys have helped me talk about this, I'm gonna try a fun experiment. Okay, I gotta end the stream. Oh shit! Why is there a phone? Whose phone is that? That's ringing. Hold on, I hear a phone ringing.
My phone never makes that sound.
Okay, so turn off the light. Turn off the light. Thank you.
It burns.
It burns. Okay. I'm gonna try. I gotta end the stream, but I'm gonna try something. You guys help me figure something out. So thank you. I'm gonna try doing this right now. I'm gonna change it right now as I'm talking to you guys to see if it has any impact. I'm gonna go ahead and remove every number on every video I've uploaded to see if it has any kind of impact.
An impact on the older videos.
Yeah, I'm not everything, but like the main ones. Hold on.
Yeah, holding on.
All right. Let me see here. I'm gonna try to I'm gonna do that. I'm looking at the ones that like, oh god, I regret all the stupid shorts I uploaded. I was just trying to experiment. It's always just me experimenting.
Every regret, the path to actual success requires a lot of
experimentation. Yeah, no joke. Why the fuck can I find? Hold on. Do I not number that? I'm pretty sure I numbered previous ones a lot. Oh, that's why it's just not showing me all of them. Wait, what's it doing? God, it's so stupid. The way this is set up. I'm going through my videos right now, and I'm like, okay, what can I actually edit title wise? Why is it doing this to me? Filter. Live posts. Okay. Have I been doing this with the live stuff? Or no, I haven't been doing it with that. I used to do that with that. Man, fucking YouTube's fucking management of videos sometimes can just goddamn awful. Oh, that's why. Oh, I'm so dumb. Okay. I'm also just a boomer on top of everything else. Okay. I want to go back and see what videos are actually numbered, which are the some of these other ones here, some of these older ones. I'm gonna remove the numbers and see what happens. See if there's an uptick on any of them just from the number removal. What do you guys think? Do you think that'll do something?
I wouldn't know.
Or am I just fucking coping here?
Well, I'm sure it's something, and something is better than nothing.
Infinite second guessing leads no results.
Good point.
Yeah, I'm following your thoughts, but I don't know how that will work out either.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can see how numbering could be a problem, though.
Yeah, I get like, yeah, because I can imagine myself going, oh, I have to go back to the other ones.
Yeah,
and then not,
I'm pretty
and then
what
not.
happens.
Oh man, this is a lot of pain in the ass. I'm gonna have to do this later because, especially the old Zoid conversations. The only reason I stopped doing those is because my definition of how to approach all that sort of stuff has differed greatly from back then on the way I
Mm.
approach this whole topic. So, and the type of questions I would ask and everything else is so fucking different. It trips me out that people still watching like the super fucking old videos. Like there's still people like that Schizoid relationships one probably gets more views over time than any other fucking video I've ever uploaded.
Mm. Relationships is a big trigger word for people, or a big point word. It's like a beacon.
I'm just gonna fucking put that shit in every video then, I guess.
Might honestly work, to be honest.
Oh,
Would not be surprised.
that's so fucking horrible. Maybe I should change my live stream to Schizoid relationship talk, and then like it would probably fucking have an uptick. It's gross.
Oh yeah,
I hate that
at
shit.
least that. I see it.
God, I hate that. That's how this algorithmic shit works, man. It'll
All
like
right, now that
produce.
nobody else is watching, I'm very guilty of not watching many of your videos, but that's because I don't have very many questions. Like, for example, I saw there was a politics video. I don't really care much for that. I saw a few different things that I can only remember as
How do you know,
Reddit
fuckhead? Maybe I have
stuff.
some takes you don't fucking. You're not ready. You've
Sorry,
never
but
heard, man. Like you don't know.
it's
I haven't watched a lot of your videos.
and you're
because
right.
it's
But
different.
it's like 40 minutes, an hour and 20-minute video. Like for
Put this shit in the background.
even if someone else coming into your channel be like, this is 40 minutes of something I don't even know if I care about.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm not.
Once I joined the stream, you're talking about something completely separate from the title.
I mean, it usually turns into that after a while. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's because you fuckers don't
Have you thought about
interact,
maybe
so.
starting like a podcast?
A podcast? People still do those?
Well, podcasts are typically they're longer. You know, they go on. You can ramble more. You know.
That does make sense.
I mean,
Yeah.
but the problem is that like, what platform would I be doing that on?
I don't know, but like you know what I mean. Like people typically prefer like longer videos, more rambly videos when it's in podcast form.
Just
Like, I don't know why, but
See if it works. If it doesn't,
how it is.
probably not
Yeah,
going to
but
dive.
what platform should I be using for that? Like, what is the platform to be recording fucking podcasts on? The problem with podcasts is you need a consistent like staff of people that you interact with. I don't have a consistent staff of people that I interact with, right? I don't have like a talking partner. So that like, you know, usually podcasts require more than one member that talks consistently with them. It's not just one guy rambling, because at that point you might as well just be doing a stream. Podcasts usually consist of more than one actor.
I would not be able to promise that I'd be able to be on every podcast.
No, I know people. Hey, that's assuming I even want you in everyone. So you're making a lot of assertions there, good sir. I'm just being a dick. So
I recognize that by now.
but I'm just thinking like, I think some part of me wants, if I were to ideally run a podcast or any kind of stream or show, what I would ideally want is me. I get on, I put on an AMA box for questions, and then I let on whatever the fuck schizo gets on my stream, and I talk to them about whatever the fuck concerns they have. And then I answer and I base our conversation around the questions that are being put forward by the people actively watching. Like, that's what I would want.
Maybe that could be your thing.
No, but that's what I try, and no, it's not like working. Like, there could be like 15 fucking people, and no one's asking anything, and they're watching for like 20 minutes. And I'm like, just put something in the goddamn box. And they're not putting anything in there. And then if they're leaving because they got bored, it's like, I literally explained that you could put something in there, and I'll probably end up interacting with it and changing the subject accordingly, just for fun. So like it's just nothing. So I don't know, and I think a lot of the fluctuation, like I said, if it's a VOD, then what are the VOD people gonna do? If it's mostly VOD people watching it, they can't participate in that dynamic, so they can't have any kind of influence over the content of the stream itself. If it's happening, if they're watching always consistently after it occurred, so it's a
You
fucking
could try
mess, man.
doing like both live stream podcasts and at times non-live stream, podcasts just to get both demographics. And again, you would also have to balance that. But could.
All right, so basically, what it sounds like a good idea would be, instead of recording live streams, it would be to find people that want to have a conversation about something, then have it, and then just upload it.
Yeah, then have like a title list around that. Perhaps do the title after. That might get more views. This would be more accurate.
Maybe you just don't have the following yet.
Yeah, maybe I don't.
That too.
But I don't even need a lot of people to do a stream. Like, as long as I have fucking 10 people watching and they're saying something, that's easy. I don't need like 100,
But it's still 10 whole people, yeah.
I jumped in at talking partner. Hi, talking partner. Yeah, dude. Saying I'm gonna fucking murder you one of these days. But anyway, I'll talk about that later. In a positive way. That was in a wholesome way. Sin just jumped on. I want to fucking murder Sin in wholesome ways. So anyway, all right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. I think your opinions are of great use. So, all right. Thanks for that, and thanks for everything else, and thanks for supporting me, even if it just means that you jump on and talk and whatever. And as usual, if anybody's out there listening or watches this later, if you want to contribute, if you have some money to contribute, do so. Obviously, Patreon, blah blah blah. I'm trying to set up the YouTube subscription join thing with like emojis and stuff with somebody, and hopefully that works out so that people that rather just subscribe to me or support me via the very platform they often use to watch stuff. Hopefully that'll work. So I'm attempting that as a revenue avenue for what I'm trying to do. But if any one of you guys listening now want some 1v1, if you feel like if I have some insight or could have some insight into how to tackle your individual problems or existential issues, and you think I'd be useful to you, please think about it. Hit me up, Discord, DM me, and we could set up a time, a place, and a reasonable cost for that kind of stuff. Because any revenue income toward everything I do could be a great use. All right. Thanks, guys, for joining me. I appreciate you guys taking the time. And
no problem.
Thanks for letting me jump in.
Well, I mean, it's open, so it's not like I did you a favor. So.
You answered my question.
No, that's true. Okay, all right. That's true. I did answer a question. I don't know if I did it poorly or well, but I tried. All right. Thanks, guys. When day is dark, always. What do we always remember? Do any of you guys know what we remember?
This is my first stream, so no.
What day is what?
When day is dark, always remember something blank.
No clue. Probably didn't participate for that one.
Didn't participate in the meme as a whole. All right. When day is dark, always remember happy day. I'll play the meme after
the meme.
Yeah.
Previous stream.
Yeah. I'll play the meme right after this. Once I disconnect, I always play it and then usually play a track of some kind. We'll see. All right, later, guys.
Good yarn.
Nope, wrong one. All right, here we go. Let's go. Let us go. For those that don't know about it.
Please remember that when you feel scared or frightened, never forget the times when you feel happy. When day is dark, always remember happy day.
An invisible light is shining right through you. An invisible light, an invisible light. An invisible light is shining right through you. The lost glow of our civilization that harvested the powers of the universe. Go back up to the surface and take better care of the world than we did once. Good luck. Good luck. Good fucking luck. One egg with two yolks. Barbecue beans over plastic smoke. Bottom with a 360 no scope. There's no way out. There's no hope. The only way through is down. Catch up on white bread. A little salt 'cause I like it. I wanna fall in love, but I got no soul. Just a torture clone born in a UFO. Did you see a landscape of thorns? Did you see a landscape of thorns? Did it make you full of fear? Did it make you curious? I've been a 3-mile island in silent hell. I fixed my ugly gross third eye with the 12-volt power drill. I've been to LA and New York City, but there was nothing there but cops. And everybody died while everybody watched. One egg with two yolks. Barbecue beans over plastic smoke. Bottom with that 360 no scope. There's no way out. There's no hope. The only way through is down. Catch up on white bread. A little salt 'cause I like it. I wanna fall in love, but I got no soul. Just a torture clone born in a UFO. One egg with two yolks. Barbecue beans over plastic smoke. Bottom with that 360 no scope. There's no way out. There's no hope.